bipartisan group of lawmakers at the White House this hour.
The president set to talk guns, gun control, and how to keep America's school children safe. Mr. Trump welcoming a diverse group of 17 lawmakers to the White House this afternoon, including advocates for more gun control and opponents who fear government infringement of constitutional protections of gun ownership.
Fox's Kevin Corke at the White House. Nobody hurt when a teacher with a gun barricaded himself inside a classroom in Dalton, Georgia, and fired a shot through the window when the principal tried to unlock the door.
His full name is Jesse Randall Davidson. He's 53. He's been a teacher here at Dalton High School since 2004. I think a lot of people in town will also know him as the play-by-play voice of the Dalton High football team.
If he was aiming at someone, that's unclear. The school went into lockdown. Authorities were called. Davidson was taken into custody. Pretty much everybody with a badge responded to that call. Fox News, fair and balanced.
On the next episode of Recipes for Disaster.
So we've got our neighbor Paul coming over tonight for a barbecue, which is why I prepared a delicious lemon rosemary steak marinade from my special collection of old family recipes. To make sure the steaks are extra tender, I left them marinating out on the counter overnight, just like Nana used to.
Maria may mean well, but without food safety, it never ends well. Always thaw or marinate foods in the refrigerator at 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below, or you could make your friends and family really sick. Maria's neighbor Paul didn't think twice about the steak he ate until he was presenting his company's financial forecast to the board. That's when a sudden bout of food poisoning made it explicitly clear that profits weren't the only thing on the rise. Watch Recipes for Disaster at foodsafety.gov. You'll learn the right steps as Maria does everything wrong. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
The Eagles of Stoneham Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida head back to the nest. That from the school's principal as students return to campus today, just a half day, 2 weeks after one of the country's deadliest school shootings. Superintendent Robert Runcie on the future of the school.
We are hopeful that the legislature will pass a bill that will include funding for building a replacement building at a different site on the campus, demolishing the existing building, and providing funding for a memorial that we will work with the victims' families to determine what is appropriate to erect on that site. 17
people were shot and killed on Valentine's Day by a former student. Broward County officials continue to look into the law enforcement response and if the shooting could have been prevented. More details about some major gun marches, especially one planned for the nation's capital next month. Fox's Michelle Polino.
George Clooney and Justin Bieber's manager Scooter Braun combined their Hollywood brain power, working behind the scenes for the March for Our Lives campaign. According to TMZ, the campaign, triggered by the Marjory Stoneman Douglas shooting, is looking at merchandise like sweatshirts and T-shirts and more to be sold to raise money for the upcoming marches, in particular the march in Washington to ban assault rifles. Clooney, who donated $500,000 to the march, is also the one who recruited Scooter.
Clooney adding he gives all the credit to the young people leading this movement. It's been an up and down day on Wall Street, and 1 hour to go. The Dow was up more than 100 points at one point. Now it's down more than 170. The Nasdaq also going from up to down 6. S&P off by 6. I'm Ann Carrick, Fox News Radio.
Your place for Lent is at KFC. At KFC, you can be so good every day with the largest variety of seafood on Guam. Choose from our popcorn shrimp, fish fillet breaded shrimp, seafood salad and twister, the wasabi fish deluxe, or try the all-new shrimp and crab caliwin and twisters. And of course, we can't forget your favorite KFC's one and only original recipe chicken. This season, there's only one place for all your Lent favorites. KFC, it's finger licking good.
We can't buy this house.
What?
It has 4 bathrooms. Just think of all the bathtub rings, water spots, and stains, plus the cleaning products I'll have to buy.
Didn't I tell you? The house comes with a non-electric Connecticut water treatment system. We'll have clean, soft water throughout the house, protect the water-using appliances, keep the tub, showers, and sinks looking like new, and help our skin, hair, and clothes look and feel great, too. The house even includes a Connecticut drinking water system.
A Connecticut system in the house? We'll take it.
American Water Tech. Smarter water. Better water. Call American WaterTech 649-2301 or email info@americanwatertech.com.
Special things only come around once a year, and it's time for fish fans to celebrate the return of Wendy's Cod Filet Sandwich. Wendy's uses the gold standard for fried fish, wild-caught Northern Pacific cod, breaded with panko crumbs to a light crisp. Add a new creamy dill tartar sauce and crisp pickles, and you've got the fish sandwich many say is the best of the bunch. Get yours today at Wendy's, located in Tamoning, Barragata, Agana, Dededo, and Naval Base. Wendy's Cod Filet. Now that's better.
How do you turn every day into cash back? With the Bank of Guam Visa credit card, cash back just got better. Get 1.5% cash back every month with every purchase, every pick-me-up, every filler-up, every Sunday dinner, every four-wheel spinner. Whatever comes to mind, even every stroll in the sweet sunshine. Everything your heart desires turned into 1.5% cash back every month. The Bank of Guam Visa credit card, the everyday card. Apply today. Call, click, or visit. Terms and conditions apply. Bank of Guam. Member FDIC.
Relax, enjoy, and be greeted by the spectacular view of Hagåtña Bay when you visit the point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam. Gaze into the beautiful sunset as you unwind to the music of Philip Garcia and Natasha on Wednesdays, Mama Shar and Nina on Thursdays, Philip Garcia and Luis Muñoz on Fridays, and Jack Larimer on Saturdays. Open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Happy hour from 5 to 8 p.m. with all cocktail drinks for $7. Receive a discount when you present your SPG card. Call Peter Yaban at 646-2222 for reservations at the point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 6 a.m. this Thursday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Guam lawmakers heading back into session at 10 this morning following 3 special sessions called by Governor Calvo last night in the wake of the defeat of his proposed increase in the business privilege tax. The vote on the BPT increase came after senators spent yet another day in a fruitless search for alternative funding sources. None was found. The roll call on Bill 249 came shortly after 5 yesterday afternoon. 10 lawmakers voted against it. Only Republican Senators Will Castro, Luis Muñoz, Tommy Morrison, and Fernando Esteves voted in favor of that bill. Senator Michael San Nicolas had an excused absence. The governor expressed deep disappointment in the outcome. He accused the legislature of letting down the people of Guam by failing to pass his measure, which he had hoped could help avoid a 32-hour work week for GovGuam employees next week. It wasn't over, however. Immediately after the defeat of his tax hike, Governor Calvo called a special session for 7 p.m. last night to consider a sales tax bill proposed by fellow Republican Senator Fernando Esteves. 2% on retail sales, 6% on internet sales. At 7 last night, special session began and ended 10 minutes later when Esteves' Bill 249 was assigned to the Taxation Committee for a public hearing to be set by Committee Chair Senator San Augustine, who himself had introduced a similar sales tax bill Monday. Governor didn't like that and called another special session at 9 last night to force lawmakers to consider the San Augustine bill, Bill number 248. Same drill. Assigned to committee for a public hearing, no date set. Not good enough for the governor, who called for yet another special session at midnight last night. He called it an emergency session to consider a hybrid bill of tax increases combining Senator Joe San Augustine's bill on the sales tax and amendments from Senator Atta, Vice Speaker Terlahi, and Senator Espaldon. Had enough? Guam lawmakers did. They recessed shortly after midnight without voting on any of the sales tax proposals. They'll be back at it again this morning at 10. More news after this.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
Wendy's welcomes the new Smoky Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger, featuring smoky sautéed portobello mushrooms, melted Asiago cheese, crispy applewood smoked bacon, and crunchy fried onions atop a juicy beef patty. For those craving the same great taste, Wendy's Smoky Mushroom Bacon Potato is also loaded with sautéed portobello mushrooms, cheddar cheese sauce, and crispy applewood smoked bacon. Here, for a limited time, get a delicious Smoky Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger and Smoky Mushroom Bacon Potato today. Wendy's. Now that's better.
News time at the point is 11 minutes past 6 a.m. The urgency to get some tax bill passed is aimed at avoiding a 32-hour work week scheduled to take effect next Tuesday for GovGuam employees. A decision brought on by the $67 million revenue shortfall projected for this fiscal year. The governor issued an executive order yesterday formalizing his announcement of reduced work hours for GovGuam employees earlier this week. But questions and confusion reigned throughout GovGuam offices yesterday. The Guam Federation of Teachers was flooded with calls, emails, and text messages from GovGuam employees asking whether the governor could issue such an order and what they could do about it. The GFT union represents more than 2,000 GovGuam employees, including firemen, police officers, as well as teachers. Union Representative Robert Koss said it appears the governor does have the authority to issue an executive order, but it leaves a lot of gray areas, he said. He hopes the legislature can come up with some sort of solution to avoid the 32-hour work week. Who would be affected by the 32-hour work week? Guam Memorial Hospital and federally funded positions are exempt. So are police officers, firefighters, and other public safety employees deemed essential. The Guam Department of Education, however, is still reviewing its rules and regulations as well as relevant laws to determine how they might proceed to follow the governor's order. Guam Education Board meeting is scheduled for 9 this morning to figure out just how DOE will comply with that 32-hour work week order. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray here with the weather.
Says here, fire weather watches continues to be in effect until this evening. Today, partly cloudy skies, slight chance of showers, winds east up to about 20 miles an hour. Expected daytime highs today, 88 degrees. For tonight, there's partly cloudy skies, a slight chance of showers, easterly winds again up to about 20 miles an hour, and expected overnight lows of 76 degrees. And a note from the weather guy, it's the first day of the meteorological spring, not to be confused with the vernal equinox, which takes place on March the 22nd. Should I be assembling my crystals here?
Absolutely, yes, especially the blue ones.
The blue crystals are the good ones. You rub the blue crystals under your armpits, and you don't need to buy deodorant for like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, and that one and a purple one in your pocket.
Moderate to fresh trade winds will be gusty at times, and only brief showers are expected over the next couple of days. Some early morning showers, so watch out if you're on the road or going to be on the road. That's news and weather together right here on The Point.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Portions of the program brought to you by my friends over at Subway. Yeah, Subway, eat fresh. They got all kinds of great things. For this Lenten season, the classic tuna, or indulge in the mouthwatering greatness of their seafood sensation, the tasty Veggie Max, a delicious vegetarian. This is 2 words that almost never go together, but at Subway, they go together like teenagers in crime. Free of artificial colors and artificial flavors. Visit any of their convenient locations today. At Subway, fresh is what they do.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
And portions of the program brought to you by King's Restaurant, open early for breakfast. Actually, they're open all the time, serving your favorites to families for over 40 years, including this one. King's Restaurant, always open and always local.
The car of the year is here. The all-new 2018 Honda Accord. Only at Triple J. Total redesign inside and out. It's no surprise that it's Car and Driver's 10 Best a record 32 times. With all-new features like the Honda Sensing Standard, Bluetooth, and reverse camera. An all-new touchscreen setup and an all-new 1.5 and 2.0 turbo engines. Best in its class and equipped with Honda's first 10-speed transmission. You'll have to test drive for yourself or take a virtual 360-degree tour of the Accord online at triplejguam.com. Triple J. Customers first.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now. 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
I sure am glad that there is a whole crew of newsies out there to cover everything that happens after I go to bed.
Oh, boy. A lot of us were up late last night, that's for sure.
Well, sit and shiva, I think, is how some people would refer to it. Watching the legislature go back in and back out. What is it? Yesterday they got in at 8 o'clock. And then there was some back and forth. We'll come back at 2 o'clock. We'll come back at 5 o'clock. And that's, when, I mean, that was the first part of the crazy yesterday.
Well, they spent most of the day actually searching for alternative funding measures.
Yeah.
A lot of time in session questioning the fiscal team and others looking for money.
Okay, so that was, and I figured at some point they'd say, that's it for us, we'll come back tomorrow. And all of a sudden there was the flurry, if you will, the storm of special sessions that were called over at the legislature. And I think you did a great job framing it for the listeners in the newscast. But the quick and dirty on this is they were called into session at 7. Then they were called into session, and it was the 7 o'clock session they voted, right?
No, 5 o'clock.
5 they voted?
Yesterday afternoon, they voted down Bill 245, the governor's business privilege tax bill.
And then they were called in at 7 so that they could entertain Fernando Estevez's new bill. Is that right?
Yeah, at 7 o'clock was the first special session called by the governor.
Okay.
The special session was called immediately after that 5 o'clock vote. Governor anticipated that he would lose that one.
It was 10-4.
Yeah.
I mean, and they said make a big deal about Mike St. Nicholas not being there. That would have been 11-4. He was a no vote all since day one. He didn't need to be there.
So they convened again at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
They considered the Estevez bill, a sales tax bill, 2% on retail, 6% on internet sales.
We'll talk about that.
And then 10 minutes, it was over. But immediately when Speaker Cruz gavelled down, another letter came in from the governor calling for another special session at 9 last night.
So what was the point of that, of the 9 o'clock?
To consider the San Augustine bill that was introduced on Monday, also a sales tax.
248.
Right.
Okay.
Right. 9 o'clock, same thing. Assigned a committee. We'll set a hearing later. Governor didn't want to wait. Didn't like that. Called him back into special session at midnight.
Now he's just being facetious.
But they went.
And they were there at midnight.
So Regine with her fuzzy slippers, and Telena got curlers in there. I'm just kidding. Regina wasn't wearing fuzzy slippers.
Yeah. I was not up.
So
at midnight,
but what were they supposed to do at midnight? They were supposed to go over the two bills.
A hybrid bill.
Do we have it?
No, we don't. But we have a notice of it in one of these numerous releases from Adeloop.
And I've been through them. They all start to look the same. They all start to look. The last one I have is the one. Okay, this is the 7 o'clock one. The last one is where there's an explanation of why the governor thinks that midnight is a good time, and they actually quote the Organic Act in there. Although the legislature's standing rules say the hours of session shall begin at 7 and be recessed or adjourned no later than 10. The Organic Act says the governor may call special session of the legislature at any time. At any time, bold, highlighted, when, in his opinion, the public interest may require it. The Supreme Court held in the case of the request of Calvo 2017 Guam 14, a standing rule that conflicts with the Organic Act is invalid and void, and as used in Organic Act 1423, the words at any time mean at any time. And therefore, notwithstanding the standing rules, the governor can call the legislature into session at any time. He wants to before 7 and at any time after 10 o'clock. Now, I was able to find the YouTube feed of the get-together last night, and it was largely procedural. You know, they get in, they do a roll call, they have Tom Addis say a couple of things, and I guess the original plan was to have the legislature get together again on March the 10th or 11th. And but Vice Speaker Therese Terlai had some issues with that, and if I do this right, we should be able to get some of that on the screen and some audio in here. It's not queued up to exactly the right point, but it will get close to where she makes her point about maybe this bringing us in at midnight isn't such a great deal after all. Let me see.
I just think that's not sufficient. I don't like to be called here in the middle of the night either, Mr. Speaker, but we can recess till the morning if that's the problem. But I think that we need to keep communication open. I would prefer to adjourn if we've referred the bill, and so that we can, as a legislature, come into our own session when we feel the need, or when we feel we are ready, when we have a solution, and that we should not stop working between now and March 10. And March 10, when we come back, we will be back in a special session, according to this motion, the motion to recess, and we would be coming back in a special session, and we would be limited in our agenda to only dealing with this one bill that's before us. And I think we can already see that there are a lot of questions in this one bill that I don't know. I don't want to be tied, Mr. Speaker, when we are in this kind of situation where we need to come up with a solution. And I think we need to have as much flexibility as possible under these kind of circumstances to come up with flexibility. I'm asking the governor not to call us in the middle of the night. I don't think that's conducive to anybody's coming to a solution. And I know my colleagues are becoming impatient, but I still believe that as a legislature, I would prefer that we adjourn or we recess until the morning if the nighttime's the issue, but that we adjourn so that we as a legislature are able to come into our own session when we feel that is appropriate, Mr. Speaker.
Breathe, Therese.
Yeah, that was midnight.
Okay,
and they recess. They'll be back at it at 10 this morning.
Okay, so 10 o'clock this morning. I don't know if there's going to be so much by way of fireworks. I don't know what it is that they intend to do. So they've got to refer the third bill now, whatever the hybrid is, into some kind of a committee.
We'll find out.
Because they didn't do that last night. I mean,
none of the bills were voted on.
What happened after this last night, and I try to save the punchline for you, is they went into a recess on the spot here, and then everybody huddled around Therese's desk. It was. You ever see that where like there's an argument at a party or something like that, and the guy storms away in a huff, and everybody starts going over to the girl, and everything's going to be okay. Bring her water, fans her, and stuff like that. That's exactly what it looked like to me when I was watching the thing this morning.
You were up. And I just dialed it up.
I dialed it up
YouTube.
this morning because I wanted to be prepared for this conversation. Because if you went to sleep, obviously, if you looked away at 5 o'clock yesterday and said 2:45 is done, the drama is nowhere near done. In fact, we've got a new layer of drama here this morning that we get to unravel. It is the next bill, the Fernando Estevez bill. Which, boy, just how convenient. We just happen to have a sales tax bill that's standing by and ready to go. So I took a look at this thing, and there's a couple of parts in the exemptions that I like, that I'd love to continue to have the conversation on. And then it got back to, do we have that dun dun dun? Do we have the thing? I need the dun dun dun.
First button I hit.
Okay, it says internet sales tax. It's good enough. It's good enough. So that's the new hotness. That's the new hotness over at the legislature. Is forget about an increase in the BPT. We can finally stop saying BPT. We get spit all over the microphones because of all of the plosives in here with the BPT. And so we don't have to worry so much about that anymore. They're going to leave the BPT as is if they follow what Nando's bill looks like. They're going to leave that as is, 4%, and that should make everybody happy. The BPT is not going to change. It's 4%. But the problem is they're going to be adding the sales tax on top of the BPT, the gross receipts tax. So we'll have not one but two taxes in. There's no gravity on that one. I'm sorry. So we would get the two taxes to worry about. There's the BPT, the hated, the dreaded, hidden sales tax, and then there will be the visible sales tax with the possibility on some exemptions. Early conversations with Bobby Schringy last night on the Facebook Messenger was, okay, well, where's the conversion? I said, it doesn't appear to be any conversion in this legislation. He says, oh, bother. And I said, there's an internet sales tax in there as well. And he says, maybe we'll talk about it in the morning. And so he'll be an early guest in the program at some point. A couple of other people that obviously we're going to want to talk to about this. But I got to tell you, the internet sales tax thing is just, I'm looking at this going, dude, 6%.
Yeah,
6%.
and I knew you would be particularly unhappy with that development. You've been very public about that.
Well, okay, look, I'm a buy local guy. Wherever I possibly can, I will look. In fact, you've gone shopping with me. We needed to buy, I can't remember what it was. It was something that we had gone out shopping for your studio over on the control room side. And we went to a couple of places. They didn't have it. So I was forced. I could not find what I needed on Guam. And so as a business person with a project, rather than wait for a local guy to order it from their sources, and they would have to pay the expedited shipping and all of this other stuff. You know what? I went to Amazon and bought some of the things that I needed to get from the Amazon place. Sorry, it just is. What can I say?
One big problem with that tax, too.
What happened?
It's unenforceable. Remember, we heard internet sales tax. They have to negotiate individually with all the Amazons of the world and get them to agree to impose the tax.
Failing that,
tax.
It's still the specter, though, of having a sales tax. So we'll talk about that. 6:27 in the morning. Yeah, let me get Bob in on this conversation. He's another guy, buys a ton of stuff online. Good morning, Bob.
Yes, good morning. And I buy a lot of things because they're not available locally.
Yeah. Well, exactly my point. If I could buy everything that I needed for this or my household or whatever at any location on Guam, then I would. But frankly, the truth of the matter is, Kmart doesn't sell everything that I need. There's no longer a Gibson's down the street. There's a Townhouse, but it's a lot smaller than it used to be.
Well, let's go on. And in personal, everyday things, that's true. But you and I know, if we need a Pico fuse for a transmitter, we're not going to find anybody on Guam that carries it.
We tried.
We tried.
Specifically,
we really
that one.
tried.
So we should be we will be penalized, and that's what it feels like. The sales tax that they're talking about, this internet sales tax, starts at 6. It feels almost punitive, doesn't it?
Well, there's another problem here. This is a knee-jerk reaction, and something that Kevin just said. Only those people in the states who have businesses in the state pay sales tax for items shipped to that state. So if a business is an internet provider, say they're an eBay seller or even an Amazon independent seller, if they are only working out of, say, North Carolina, and that's the only place they have a business, they have to pay North Carolina tax, but nowhere else. You will know many times when you order online, they'll say if you're in the same state as the business, you have to pay a sales tax, but you don't pay it if it's being shipped out of the state. So states only collect. Now, Amazon is pretty much throughout all of the United States for their prime and their regular items. So is Walmart, because they have stores everywhere. They don't have one on Guam. But how are these companies going to pay the sales tax? And do they really think that a independent eBay buyer would make a sales tax contribution for 1 or 2 sales to Guam's?
We can barely get these guys to fill out the additional customs forms.
Well, that's right. In fact, that's already a problem. Now, if there was some way they could force them to fill out forms and pay a tax, they would basically shut down internet sales to Guam because nobody's going to do it.
Right. Yeah,
If I order a $10 item on eBay and the guy had to fill out extra forms for a sales tax and make a sales tax payment on top of it, it wouldn't be the 6% I would stop it. Nobody's going to take 10, 20, 30 minutes of forms and file it and mail it into, this is just never going to happen. So if they had a way to enforce it, it would stop internet sales, but they probably don't have a way to enforce it. Now, if it comes into here, they already collect customs if it comes in through the port, DHL, or what have you. They don't get customs at the post office. So the only way they could do this is to be able to get the post office to have declared forms on it on how much the merchandise is, and for the post office to collect the tax. And that's not going to happen.
So aborted from the start, it would seem.
I would think so. I don't see how they're going to collect it. They can't collect it at the post office. I don't see how they're going to get individual sellers. You and I buy items that are very specialty that get sent to us by SCMS. I mean, I'll just name that name. Are they going to fill out special forms and make special payments every time you and I make a purchase for a broadcast?
Well, they might do that, but they might charge me more for it. And so there is the other consideration. What do you think, Kev?
Well, we did have Lester Carlson in here a few days back, and there's been testimony in the session hall recently by various members of the fiscal team that negotiations and talks have been occurring with the Amazons but what has to be done is that Amazon has to agree to place on their website that tax provision so that it pops up whenever you go to order something. And it's voluntary right now.
Right.
And even if this law were passed, they would have to agree to impose it. So
on the retailer side.
On the retailer side.
And that's just Amazon we're talking about.
That's all of
Not the billions of other people that are into e-commerce.
Yeah, just because
all that would do is make if you can go buy an electric drill on Amazon and it's being sold on eBay, and Amazon adds another 6% tax, and the individual eBay buyer is not, that's just going to shift the business away from Amazon.
Maybe what they're talking about is e-commerce locally. Maybe if Kevin had a shingle up on the internet somewhere and Bob was to buy something from Kevin, then it would be appropriate for Kevin to put that sales tax in the transaction. Maybe that's what they're talking about. Huh, Bob?
Well, let me ask you a question. If Kevin does not have a business license, how does he make those payments and report it? That's the other thing, is if the companies, that's why in the state, if a company like Walmart has stores in your state and you buy it from them, you've got to pay the tax. But if you buy it from a company that does not have a business in the state, they still do not collect the tax in the states because that particular company's not registered to do business in the state or make payments.
Well, and that was a conversation that I had recently with one of my vendors who wanted to charge me a tax. I said, I don't pay taxes in your state. I'm not from there. And they said, well, we should be able to collect taxes on behalf of your government. I said, no, it's a business privilege tax. You don't have a business license on Guam. You're not legally entitled to collect that tax from me.
And they would have no way to make the payment.
And so I sent him a copy of the Guam Code annotated, and the conversation was over.
Yeah, I think this is going to be very complicated. I don't think they can collect it from companies that aren't registered here. And there's hundreds of thousands, probably millions of businesses, if you got down to it in the States, that don't have registration on Guam. They already have to do a special customs form for Guam, which probably out of that million people doing business in the States, knocks 50% or more of them where they won't do business with us just because of the extra work. And now we want to do this. I think it would basically, if it could be done, would be a disaster for Guam consumers who have to buy from the States, but I don't think it can be done.
All right, Bob, I'm going to let you take a breath here and talk to you later. I'll see you.
Bye-bye.
All right. You don't have people don't get breathless around me. Everybody seems to be getting breath. I give you plenty of time to talk about what it is that we need to talk about. In fact, speaking of time, it is time right now to find out about this morning's headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 35 minutes past 6 a.m. Session resumes again at 10 this morning following 3 special sessions called by the governor last night to try and force senators to pass some form of tax increase to make up for the $67 million shortfall in revenues brought on by federal tax reforms. The frantic effort yesterday to get a tax increase passed followed defeat of the governor's proposed increase in the business privilege tax. The sales tax is now on the table, but the special sessions at 7 last night, 9, and again at midnight saw each sales tax proposal assigned to committee for public hearings at a later date. 32-hour work week is slated to take effect next Tuesday for GovGuam employees. The Guam Fire Department looking at closing 3 fire stations next week unless the legislature passes the administration's proposed tax increase. That according to the governor's office. Deputy Fire Chief Joey San Nicolas advising through a release from the governor that he has no choice but to shut down the Estumbo, Piti, and Talafofo fire stations to curtail overtime and immediately reduce costs. All but one of the 7 detainees accused in the beating death of detainee Manson Ernst in December have pleaded not guilty in Superior Court yesterday. Detainee Isler Fake Miller is in the process of obtaining legal counsel after his prior counsel cited a conflict of interest. His arraignment was continued. Albert Babauta Santos II, Andrew Rios Jr., Benster Benjamin, A-List Cimarron, and Jimmy Hadley all pleading not guilty yesterday. Marvin Reacham also pleading not guilty, but is yet to decide whether he'll assert his right to a speedy trial. His arraignment also continued to March 7th. The next court appearance for all is scheduled also on March 7th before Judge Anita Sokola in Superior Court. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Want to win an iPhone 10? Stop into 76 Circle K locations and get a chance to be one of 3 lucky winners to take home an iPhone 10. Simply purchase $35 or more in fuel or merchandise and receive a raffle form for a chance to win one of 3 unlocked iPhone 10 phones. Comes with a 1-year contract. Conditions apply. Visit stores or 76CircleKGuam.com for all rules, disclaimers, and conditions. Circle K. Take it easy.
Chili's has the seafood you crave, the flavors you love, at a great price with our 3 for Me Lent menu. For just $15, you can get a beverage, fresh salad, and a Lent-friendly entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a fresh house salad right before you indulge in your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our spicy shrimp tacos, savory Cajun pasta with shrimp, or our flavorful grilled ancho salmon. Chili's 3 for Me Lent menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's. More life happens here.
Yeah, it's 6:38. We'll take a look at the traffic gizmos here in the studios of The Point, but tell you what, it's rather disappointing for me as the guy that needs to tell you about traffic issues, because frankly, there aren't any that aren't normal for this time of day. Coming out of Salinpago and the Pago Bay area up to the intersection of Route 4 and Route 10, might see a little bit of slowing down there. Traffic building in Manilao and some of the usual spots because they put schools there. In southbound in Dededo, hey, there's a surprise. Traffic starting to build up through there as well. And northbound traffic in Tumon. It seems to be something happening over in front of Tumon Sands. I can't quite get a fix on what it is, but maybe there's, you know what it is? It's Cracked Egg. Maybe they got something going on over at Cracked Egg in that area that might be slowing things down. 6:38 in the morning. That's a look at morning traffic here on The Point.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members. And our commitment to your health? never been stronger. Take care. Our island, your health plan.
Subway's got your fresh choices for Lent. Sink your teeth into the classic tuna or indulge in the mouth-watering greatness of our seafood sensation. Or try our tasty Veggie Max, a delicious vegetarian patty free of artificial colors and flavors. All our subs are served on freshly baked bread paired with vegetables, cut fresh daily in restaurants, and sauces that are sure to excite your taste buds. Visit any of our convenient locations today at Subway. Fresh is what we do.
The Ray Gibson Show. News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out.
It's funny because it's almost like a dream come true. I remember when I was a boy broadcaster, and I'd be on in the middle of the night wondering, golly, is anybody listening? Is anybody out there? And then you got something like Facebook, and we do this Facebook Live thing. So that you can hear us on the radio. But if you'd like to see, we've invested quite heavily in a concept of visual radio, which means that we've got cameras in the studio. And the reason for doing something like that is, well, wouldn't it be cool if we were able to put this on television? But it seems to me there's a lot more people that get their television these days from iPads and iPhones and whatever it is smartphone screens. And so we've invested in this kind of technology as well, streaming live to Facebook Live and our website at thepoint.g. But the cool thing about doing this on Facebook is I can see you. I know that Richard is on and Mana's there. Mark Colby is listening before he heads off to the Nico today. Mo Cotton, who is dying to call in and say something. He said in one of the chats, he says, just as soon as I come up with something, I'm going to give you a call and we'll chew it up. Melissa Akimoto, there's Jack Larimer. Good morning, Jack. Valerie Lynn. And this is the Valerie Lynn that works over at Frank Uggan's office. And so it's good to have her on. It says Carl and Jerry Gutierrez. Hey, you're known by the company we keep, huh? There's Rich. And Bobby's there. Bobby's going to be on the radio in an hour, so we can talk about this new bill and of the several that are out there, but the sales tax bill in particular. James is there, and Bernadette is there, and Anita is on, and Deborah. Good morning, Deborah. There's plenty more. I'm not going to read everybody's name, just the famous ones. Adonis Cruz Mendiola. All right. Sorry, that's my shiny moment for now. Love the internet. And I would hope that we use the internet for good as opposed to using it for evil. Yesterday, and I don't know which, in the middle of which of the special sessions that were called, a note, something says,
created a big stink.
10 senators failed to pass a funding bill this afternoon, which means the fiscal crisis will continue and GMH will continue its downward spiral affecting the health care of the Guamanian families. They have lost touch with our people. The governor has called them back into session at 7 p.m. to address a third bill authored by Senator Estevez. The governor is doing his best to reverse the 32-hour work week order. He will not sleep until the work is done. Please text your senators now, express your concerns, and share these numbers with your employees and family members. Ask them to appeal to senators to do their job tonight and get us through this. So what they did, whoever the culprit behind this is, what they've done is they took all of the senators and didn't put their office number down.
Their private cell phone numbers.
These are private cell phone numbers. And if I was a member of this is harassment. I'm sorry if a kid in high school did this and put all of the
detention,
the mean girl thing. Right? This is nothing short of harassment. Using the internet to tell people to harass the senators day and night, giving up what may be their private numbers. I've got a cell phone. I'm not ashamed to share it with anybody. It's just don't call me in the middle of the night. Trust me, I know how to press the do not disturb button. But in some cases, these might be their kind of cell phone numbers for just family and friend stuff here. Tom Atta, they gave both of Tom Atta's numbers on this. I'm sorry. It's a little over the top dramatic, number one. And number two, it's borderline harassment. And if I was a member of the legislature, I would make a telephone call to the chief of police this morning and report this level of harassment. If somebody had done this to my daughter, as I said, that mean girls things that they do in the 8th grade, 7th and 8th grade, I would be a very upset parent. And would even refer to this as, and I hate using the word bullying, but it feels like it is.
Time to change your number. First order of business.
Silly. It's silly is what it is. That's the other problem I got with it. It's silly and it's cheap, and I think it is also silly and cheap, and it's this idiotic fear tactic, and I'm disappointed that there is now conversation about shutting 3 fire stations down because of these budget cuts. Look, you know, and I know that would be the last thing to happen. That would be the last thing to go. Is the capability of the government. It's the one thing we really want the government to do, is to take care of us, to make sure that we're safe and that we don't burn alive in our homes because the fire department down the street in Estumbo. Listen, kids, I guarantee this is never, ever going to happen. And the idea that they're floating it is another one of these ridiculous fear tactics. Can we not do this like children? Sorry, there's other ways to make your point, and maybe just following a little bit of logic and common sense might do it. But harassment, fear tactics, telling old ladies and old men that they're going to die because the fire department down the street has been closed, what kind of nonsense is that? Come on, grow up, please. Ken's on the line. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning. Well, they have to try something because parking a hearse in front of the legislature didn't.
Fire the drama department, please. We don't need it. It muddies the water and it confuses people and it scares people. Why would you do that? Why would you scare people? Why would you say that we're going to shut down 3 fire stations? We know for a fact that's not going to happen. It will never happen.
Well, it goes back to the point that the vaunted Adeluke Brain Trust doesn't have any ideas left. And so that's why they're resorting to fear tactics, because that's the only tool they've got, which is unfortunate.
I dare you. I double dog dare you. As bad as things get, I double dog dare you to shut down a fire station.
Well, let's say, look at how many years in a row the governor has threatened layoffs, furloughs, agency closings if he didn't get the budget he wanted. He didn't get the budget he wanted, and nothing happened. So why would this time be any different?
I don't know, but it feels like it's the same playbook. I was talking with Kevin, and there's the other thing that kind of annoys me here, is that it feels like there's this, I don't know, it's almost a formula that we've got to go down so that one thing escalates to another thing and escalates to another thing.
Well, you're familiar with North Carolina, right?
My father lives there. That's as familiar as I get with the place. Okay. I know where to find a cold beer in Matthews. How's that?
Oh, that'll help. For years, I made a very good living doing consulting with furniture stores, and twice a year I would go to North Carolina, and I had a presentation called Cause of Death. Mm-hmm. And the presentation was, if you figure out why your business is going to die, in time you can take steps to prevent that. In fact, Jack Welch was famous because when he took the helm of GE, it was a candidate for breakup. But under his leadership, it became the biggest corporation in America. And then with the advent of the internet boom, he introduced a business initiative called DestroyYourBusiness.com.
Nice.
And he challenged all his business leaders, all his unit leaders, division leaders, to find a way to destroy their business using the internet and then turn it into a business model. They did that. GE became the most profitable company in America. Now, the reason I bring this up is because we had plenty of time, Adeluke had plenty of time to make the kinds of changes that would have reduced operating costs without shrinking headcount, improved government services, and increased the amount of revenue coming into government of Guam without doing things like 50% increase in business privilege tax.
Right.
But that would have required hard work, something that the administration seems to loathe. And so they keep taking the easy way out. And the sudden flurry of sales tax bills are easy way out part 2. And it's not going to work because they still refuse to do the work they should have been doing for the past 3 years.
Well, I think one of the annoying things about it is where whoever is moving some of these ideas must think we're stupid, because they come out and say, okay, well, here's the sales tax bill that everybody in the private sector seems to be clamoring for, and it's not the sales tax bill that everybody is clamoring for, because we haven't eliminated the business privilege taxes. So what we're going to have. We're going to have, Ken, is the 4% BPT, and then on top of that, we will have a 2% sales tax.
And it will have as much success as the 50% tax leveling initiative had.
You'll recall we've done this before, and it failed.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of confusion, and there were a lot of people that were asked not to return to their seats at the legislature that year.
Yeah. And so at least this group of senators seems to, with the exception of a few, seems to have.
Oh, let's say their names. No, let's say their names. All right, these are the people here. Can I just make this very, very clear? When it came to the vote on whether you wanted to raise people's taxes or not raise people's taxes, the people that voted to raise taxes here, remember this on Election Day, Will Castro, Tommy Morrison, Luis Muñoz, and Fernando Esteves. Those were the 4 that supported Bill number 245, which would have taken money out of everybody's pockets. And we still and I don't recall anything in particular about 245 that they voted on that was engrossed that included with it anything that was talking about tax any kind of cuts in expenses.
How many of those senators are going to run again?
3 of them are running again that I know of.
No, he's not planning to run again. He came out publicly.
No. That's what I said. 3 of them are that I understand are intending to run for the 35th Guam legislature. Esteves has publicly said he's out.
Well, they should save their money. You know. Anyway, going back to the point, as long as Adelut persists in trying to raise revenue without reducing expenses, they're going down a hard road, because one thing I learned in my consulting practice, it was 10 times easier to improve profitability than it was to improve revenue streams. Mm-hmm. And if they would take that approach, how can we do more with less, better and faster, then the public would probably be sympathetic to seeing some types of enhancement, provided they're seeing a geometric reduction in expenses along the way in a way that has a minimal impact on the community.
Which is all that, which it seems, Ken, is what we have been asking for since this all came about. I had even personally acquiesced to the concept. Look, if we have to do this, I will grant you this revenue enhancement tool that you need, but you've got to show me a dollar for dollar decrease in the spend.
Well, I've been saying that since 2015.
Wow.
And it's fallen on deaf ears at Adelut big time.
Well,
so until I honestly don't think we're going to see a change in attitude in Adelut until the government's literally burning down.
Well, gee, and the fire department won't be able to save it because they closed the fire departments.
Yeah,
that's silly.
It's literally move to cut off their nose to spite their face, you know.
Yeah. Well, a couple other things I wanted to get to in the language of some of these bills that are out there, including the kind of a punitive language and in that new 240 in the 2% sales tax bill. I don't even know if it's got a number yet. I got to check. I'll talk to you pretty soon, Cam.
All right, bye.
Have an awesome morning. 888-8255. That's the number here at The Point. Lots of different ways to get to me. You can email if you're shy about getting your comments out there and on the air. Send that to raygibsonshow@gmail.com. It was supposed to be the Ray Gibson Show, but I think somebody already had that, so I couldn't use it. But I was able to get raygibsonshow@gmail.com. Or Facebook Messenger, or if you've got my WhatsApp, I'll bet you, if I talk enough about this, then I'll be on the next list here. Below you will find the cell numbers of your senators and loudmouth guys in talk radio. There's Ray Gibson's cell phone number. Call him up and tell him you're against his crazy talk there in the morning. What do you think?
Time to change your number.
It's a good thing Backdoor's a big telecom company. I might have access to more than one or two that are out there. Speaking of telecom, and just so you know, order it now. Somebody was outside lamenting his needs to get new pads for his earphones. I said, you better order them now, because they're talking about an internet sales tax. Which has already been brushed away by some of the big thinkers of the program, but still in all, it's out there. It's out there. And it doesn't matter sometimes what the facts are in the political realm. They've got their own set of facts, so that's just what they're going to go with. And I started thinking about it as I was reading this last night, is all of the junk that I might need to buy online. Maybe I better start thinking about making that pile now and ordering it now before these guys get their hands on this measure over at the legislature, and it ends up costing me 6%. And like I said, that number feels so punitive, because it's the first number, you know.
Well,
start small. Here's a 2% sales tax on internet sales. You just bang, 6%.
Part of the reason why it's punitive, as we've heard before, is to protect local retailers. The higher it costs to buy it on the internet,
then they better sell everything that I want at a decent price. That's also a problem around here. Is not everybody is looking to keep the margins tight, right? They're looking at it saying, okay, well, I'm in business and I just bought a new car and I've got a pretty girl and I need to make sure that she's always got nice clothes and I get to go to all of the functions in the galas and all of that stuff. So what you would normally purchase $60 camera, video camera on the internet costs you $100, $110. When you get it out here. And what are they? Jones Act. Oh, it's got to be the Jones Act.
I wouldn't lose sleep. It'll be years before all the retailers stateside agree to impose an internet tax.
Well, some of the chatter says, so we got to pay 10% more for good to have it shipped here. Yeah, 4% GRT, an additional 2% for 6% sales tax, and pay for it all in a 32-hour work week. Yeah, I think that's where they seem to be headed on this. It's moving, adding, not subtracting, and that's the problem. 6:59 and change at the radio station. 888-8255 again is the telephone number. On the way, I almost want to say on a lighter note. Have you bought the iPhone 10? Did you get one of those things yet?
No, I do Android, man.
So I'm an Android guy too, but I was considering it because I was looking at the 8, and then somebody was telling me about the 10. And what one of the things that really moved me off of the idea was I thought the screens were too small compared to what I'm used to with the Samsung. Well, they're coming out with a big screen iPhone 10. Details are on the way as we get closer and closer to 10 o'clock in the morning. It's 7 a.m. now, and time for the Fox News Live. _live. There's a lot of places that will tell you they're playing network news, but it's pre-recorded. Our newscast is live, warts and all. And that's coming up next. On the other side of that, Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post. And thank you so much. I'm noticing more and more people are buying and reading the Guam Daily Post. Keep that up. That's a superior newspaper we're talking about. And I got their most superior news guy. He's going to bring it to you on the other side of the Fox News. That's next on KUSG Agana.
An inside look at a difficult debate. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. A bipartisan group of lawmakers meeting with President Trump on gun control and school safety.
You've got to have defense, too. You can't just
be sitting ducks. And that's exactly what we've allowed people in these buildings and schools to be.
The president still favors arming some teachers while pledging to consider other ideas, including the assault weapons ban proposed by Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein.
This is when the 10-year assault weapon ban was in, how incidents and deaths dropped. When it ended, you see it going up.
West Virginia Democrat Joe Manchin says all gun sales should have background checks.
Terrorists basically say, hey, go down to the local gun show and get whatever you want. Because you can be in a gun show, 2/3 of the gun show can have licensed dealers, federal licensed dealers that have to have background checks if you buy it from them. Go to the next table over, there was not one. That's a loophole.
The president also saying again he would consider raising the federal minimum age to buy assault-style rifles like the AR-15 used in the Florida school shooting.
You can't buy a handgun at 18, 19, or 20. You have to wait till you're 21. But you can buy the gun, the weapon used in this horrible shooting at 18. You are going to decide. The people in this room pretty much are going to decide.
The NRA opposes changing the age, and Pennsylvania Republican Senator Pat Toomey says many law-abiding 18 to 20-year-olds in his state want those guns for hunting. A high school teacher in custody in Georgia after barricading himself in a classroom with a gun.
When the principal, Mr. Bartu, came to the classroom to, I guess, see what the problem was, Mr. Davidson blocked him from entering the room.
Also firing a shot out a window. It didn't hit anyone, and Dalton police say the teacher was ultimately arrested without incident. A late sell-off again on Wall Street. The Dow drops 383 points. Fox News, fair and balanced.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I'm 19 years old, and this is how I live united. I've always been kind of a computer geek, and I found a way to use those skills to help the homeless in my community. For people facing hard times, computer skills and a basic resume are so important. It may seem like a small thing, but it makes a huge difference in people's lives. So with United Way, I created a program where I work with the homeless. Together, we go through their whole job history, write a resume, and then save it on their very own USB drive. We provide workbooks and training certificates. I even budgeted for cupcakes so we can celebrate as a class when one of our people gets a job. That's huge. When somebody says, hey man, that job that you helped me apply for, I got it. That's what living united feels like to me. My name is Dale Pazinski. I help people achieve financial independence. So I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Immigration officials are fuming about a California mayor's public warning.
Acting ICE Director Thomas Homan says Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf was no better than a gang lookout when she gave everyone a heads up that Immigration Customs Enforcement would be conducting operations in the area. Homan told Fox and Friends Wednesday morning that Schaaf's explanation that she gave a warning in the interest of safety had the opposite effect.
These are people that are here illegally already and committed yet another crime, been convicted of a crime. She gave them warning, and there's 800 that we were unable to locate because of that warning. So that community is a lot less safe than it would have been.
As of Tuesday evening, 150 people had been arrested, though the operations continued through Wednesday. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Late word from the U.S. Olympic Committee that Chief Executive Scott Blackmun is resigning for health reasons. He has prostate cancer. The committee has also been under fire over the sex abuse scandal involving former sports doctor Larry Nassar, now in prison, whose accusers included Olympic gymnasts. Today, the U.S. OC announcing reforms aimed at protecting athletes from abuse. The battle over an assault allegation against Ryan Seacrest is growing.
A man has come forward supporting claims of sexual assault and harassment leveled at E-host Ryan Seacrest by Susie Hardy. The man, who wants to remain anonymous, fearing retaliation, worked with Seacrest at E! According to NBC News, he claims Hardy would go to tie his shoe and Ryan would shove her head towards his crotch. However, a Seacrest associate dismissed the former co-worker as a friend of Hardy's and a disgruntled former E! employee. Seacrest lawyers say the former stylist's claims are lies, and Seacrest says Hardy asked for $15 million in hush money. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
Seacrest scheduled to host E's red carpet show for the Oscars on Sunday. Again, a big sell-off at the end on Wall Street. Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ down today and for the month. This is Brady, Fox News Radio.
For over 55 years, Community First has served our island as a full-service financial institution. And now, we're proud to introduce the new Community First Student-Run Credit Union, open in Mangilao on Route 10, Guam's first student-run financial institution, which means it's operated by college students like us, ready to serve all our members, existing and new. We're just down the road from UOG and GCC. Community First Guam Federal Credit Union, now open in Mangilao. This credit union is federally insured by NCUA.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
The car of the year is here. The all-new 2018 Honda Accord. Only at Triple J. Total redesign inside and out. It's no surprise that it's Car and Driver's 10 Best a record 32 times. With all-new features like the Honda Sensing Standard, Bluetooth and reverse camera, an all-new touchscreen setup, and an all-new 1.5 and 2.0 turbo engines. Best in its class and equipped with Honda's first 10-speed transmission. You'll have to test drive for yourself or take a virtual 360-degree tour of the Accord online at triplejguam.com. Triple J. Customers first.
When the power goes out on Guam, the little things can become surprisingly big. Small comforts are often the things we miss most during a power outage. That is why Kohler built the fastest responding generator sets in the industry. Whether you are at home or away, a residential Kohler generator will enable you and your family to live life without interruption. Kohler gas, LPG, and diesel power systems are available from Morrico Equipment, LLC on Epal Road. Call 649-1946. That's 649-1946.
Subway's got your fresh choices for Lent. Sink your teeth into the classic tuna or indulge in the mouth-watering greatness of our seafood sensation. Or try our tasty Veggie Max, a delicious vegetarian patty free of artificial colors and flavors. All our subs are served on freshly baked bread paired with vegetables, cut fresh daily in restaurants, and sauces that are sure to excite your taste buds. Visit any of our convenient locations today at Subway. Fresh is what we do.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 7 a.m. this Thursday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Session resumes again at 10 this morning following 3 special sessions called by the governor last night to try and force senators to pass some kind of tax increase to make up for the $67 million shortfall in revenues this fiscal year brought on by the federal tax reforms passed in Washington in December. The frantic effort to get a tax increase passed followed defeat yesterday of the governor's initial proposal to increase the business privilege tax. A sales tax is now what's on the table, but special sessions at 7 p.m. last night, 9 p.m., and again at midnight saw each sales tax proposal assigned to a committee for a public hearing at a later unspecified date. Governor Calvo, meanwhile, yesterday signed an executive order directing a 32-hour work week effective next Tuesday, March 6th. That means thousands of GovGuam workers will get a 20% reduction in time and pay at work. The reduced work week exempts Guam Memorial Hospital employees and federally funded Government of Guam jobs. Police officers, firefighters, and other public safety employees deemed essential will also be exempt. The Guam Department of Education, however, is working to prevent any cuts to class hours. A meeting's being held this morning at 9 to figure that out. Work reductions are scheduled to begin on Tuesday for employees whose salaries are funded either in whole or in part by the general fund. Guam Fire Department, meanwhile, planning to close 3 fire stations next week, according to a statement from Adelup yesterday, following the governor's announcement of that 32-hour work week. Deputy Fire Chief Joey San Nicolas advising the administration that he has no choice but to shut down the Estumbo, Pidi, and Talafofo fire stations to curtail overtime and immediately reduce costs. The release from Adelup yesterday blames the legislature and Speaker Benjamin Cruz in particular for what the governor called months of delays and several bills introduced by the governor to avert the current fiscal crisis, which the release dubs the cruise crisis. Governor's Bill 245 was defeated by lawmakers yesterday afternoon. We'll have more news after this.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
Wendy's welcomes the new Smoky Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger, featuring smoky, sauteed portobello mushrooms, melted Asiago cheese, crispy applewood smoked bacon, and crunchy fried onions atop a juicy beef patty. For those craving the same great taste, Wendy's Smoky Mushroom Bacon Potato is also loaded with sauteed portobello mushrooms, cheddar cheese sauce, and crispy applewood smoked bacon. Here, for a limited time, get a delicious Smoky Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger and Smoky Mushroom Bacon Potato today. Wendy's. Now that's better.
News time here at The Point is 11 minutes past 7 a.m. Lots of questions and confusion throughout GovGuam offices yesterday following the executive order from the governor for a 32-hour work week for GovGuam employees. The Guam Federation of Teachers flooded with calls, emails, and text messages from employees asking whether the governor could issue such an order and what they could do about it. The GFT union represents more than 2,000 GovGuam employees, including firemen, police officers, as well as teachers. Union Rep Robert Koss said it appears the governor does have the authority to issue that executive order, but it leaves a lot of gray areas, he said. He hopes the legislatures can still come up with a solution to avoid implementation of that 32-hour work week next Tuesday. In Superior Court yesterday, 34-year-old Royce Advincula behind bars after he allegedly terrorized a woman known to him with a gun in their home on Sunday morning. Woman reported to police that Advincula called her into a bedroom and brought out a black revolver, spinning the chamber that holds the bullets. Court documents state that Advincula told the woman he would kill her because he doesn't have anything to lose. Police confiscated a 38-millimeter gun from his vehicle and placed him under arrest. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray with the weather.
All right, thanks very much. Partly cloudy skies, slight chance of showers, some of them falling in this area. Upper Tumon right about now. East winds up to about 20 miles an hour, highs 88 degrees. Now, Mike's been looking at the radar this morning, and it looks like we're going to have some of this wet weather lingering through at least the end of the drive time,
Yeah,
right?
should stick right through the drive to work this morning, but may clear out this afternoon.
Partly cloudy skies tonight with a slight chance of showers. Winds east to 20 miles an hour and overnight lows of about 76 degrees. We could use the rain fire weather watches in effect through this evening. So keep an eye out for cigarettes and books of matches that get thrown out of cars and all of those things. Flamethrowers need to be held at bay today. That's news and weather together on The Point.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Portions of the program brought to you by Security Title, making sure you actually own the property that you think you just bought.
We have those moments in our lives that happen unpredictably. The unexpected instances that we did not really need. Now you can count on us to stay well, Papa, to live well, Papa, to stay well, making sure you stay well. Oh, I'll lift you up when times are low. I'll see how far we'll go, and stay well.
Stay Well Insurance. See how far we'll go.
Ray Gibson Show also brought to you by King's Restaurants, serving Guam favorites to your family for over 40 years. King's Restaurants, always open and always local.
Connecticut water treatment customers don't keep coming back. They're satisfied the first time. That's right. Connecticut non-electric water treatment systems take care of your water problems, and you won't need to keep calling us for repairs. Join the list of satisfied Connecticut customers who purchased their non-electric water systems years ago and are still enjoying clean, conditioned water without any hassles from timers or circuit boards.
American Water Tech. Smarter water, better water. Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email them at info@americanwatertech.com.
The Ray Gibson Show. Any speaker, anytime. Watch and listen live on thepoint.gu.
I was just looking up the Tapas price here this morning, and now that I found it, I don't want to say what it is. $68.74 for a barrel of the Tapas crude. It's a real sweet grade, as I understand. So you get a lot of calories out of this thing in the refinement process, and it's the only thing that we can buy around here. $68.74 for a barrel of that. The refined cost. How much is it on the street, Gib? Well, you look at the gas station sign. That'll tell you what the retail is. It doesn't look like there's any indicators that it's going to be going down anytime soon. The folks that we live and play with on the internet in the United States mainland, they got a little bit better West Texas crude at $61.49. That doesn't mean that everybody gets West Texas crude. It is, however, the benchmark for national oil prices. On the markets today, what do we end up with? In the Dow Jones Industrial Average, 25,000, off by 380 points. Sorry, make that 380.83 points. Again, closing at 25,029. NASDAQ also in the red by 57 points, closing at 72.73. That is 72.73. And the S&P 500 at 27.13. Suffice to say, as Bohannon will say, that the numbers in the market are down today. Anybody looking good? The VIX is looking good. You know what the VIX is?
What is that?
They refer to the VIX as the misery index.
Oh, nice.
so usually what happens is when all of the markets are down, the VIX is moving opposite to that. The VIX is actually up by 9.52% here today. It's never a big number, but it is up. Odd. Normally, when the markets go down this bad, we see bond prices go up. Those usually move opposite to the market as well. But I'm looking at it today, and it doesn't look like there's a clear winner in any of the bond numbers. 10-year notes at 2.86, 30-year notes at 3.12. Right now, looking for what's going to end up being the biggest loser of the stocks and the bond markets. But your professional guys will be able to sort you through what happened or what didn't happen in the market. Just looking at the numbers, 717, and that's where the numbers all end up here this morning on the point. Was I supposed to do weather, the traffic at some? Do I need to do that now? I forget. This is one of those weird parts in the show, and since we haven't been doing this for 12 years, I still haven't figured out where to go when I'm done with this. Traffic is good. We'll do traffic. So right now, traffic, as the man said, the rain is falling in different parts of this side of the island where there happens to be a lot of roads and people need to get to work and need to get to school. So it is no surprise that we are seeing issues coming out of Dededo, coming out of Route 3. It's building towards the GRMC intersection, southbound Marine Corps Drive. At that intersection, it looks like it's starting to build up some volume. I was looking at Route 16 a little bit earlier because it's cute. Kawaii, but it looks like any of the issues that I was looking at before have gone away. 8, 10, and 16, nothing major to report there, but Route 8 south of 8, 10, and 16 is beginning to build as well. And there's that one little weird access road where you come out of Tiedzin, and you've passed the old airport, but you haven't gone down that ramp yet. You haven't hit the lights. Mm-hmm. It's this weird one little roadway, the angle by the old Welcome to Guam sign.
Right.
That one there is starting to build up this morning, and usually has nothing to do with the number of cars on the road as much as it does. I don't like that light. I think the guys over at DPW Highway need to go over there and do some what the linemen will refer to sometimes as is hammer modulation.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
That's what we
yeah.
need to do. We need to do hammer modulation on that, and hit the switches. It's either on or on full force. Click, 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 click until something happens. 7:19. That's news, weather, market report, and traffic on The Point. As we journey through the new year, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you. So there's a story I was telling you about before we got into the Fox News in the last hour, and I thought I'd just share it with you. There's two kinds of people in the world. It used to be Republicans and Democrats, hard right, hard left, but the world, it seems to me, is broken down now to two kinds of people. There are Android people, and there are Apple people.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kevin is outnumbered because he's an Apple guy.
Ew.
Well, he's got a little Apple-y thing now.
Right.
Yeah. It's the SE. I think that's one of the Apple SEs that came out a couple of years ago.
It is.
SE, which actually stands for still expensive.
No, yeah.
But the battery is still working.
On that one. Yeah. Which is amazing.
3 years old.
Which is amazing because Kevin doesn't sleep. He comes in here. I got here before I did this morning, and is going to be chasing news stories and writing them up for you for the Guam Daily Post until Eddie stops asking the legislature to go into special session. And then there's Android people, and I'm an Android guy. I wasn't always an Android guy. I just gotten to a point where I thought maybe I would stop looking over the fence as an Apple guy at all of the cool things that the Androids were doing. Mm-hmm. And so a few years ago, I made that shift in my life, and I became an Android guy, and I've never looked back. Although I have, from time to time, looked over the fence because my computer infrastructure, oddly, I have a MacBook.
Okay.
That I use almost all the time. As you can see here in the studio, I've also got an iPad because there are some things that you can only do on the iPad. I've also got an iPad Pro, and I want to get one of those iWatches just because there's a level of cool with an iWatch. I might just buy a broken one and just wear it.
Just look at my iWatch.
Hey, look at me! I got an iWatch
it's
here.
Right twice a day.
I got a TomTom watch. This is $95, but it looks like an iWatch. So that's why I got this one. But the only reason why I didn't buy an iPhone, I had the opportunity to get one or the other earlier in the year. The only reason why I didn't was because I didn't like the size of the iPhone screens in comparison to the Samsung. And Apple apparently picked up on some of that. A source says Apple will be launching the biggest iPhone ever this year, a 6.5-inch screen. The tech giant is also planning to release two other models, a mid-range device that is about the same size as the current iPhone X, or 10 if you want to call it that, as well as the cheaper iPhone that has Face ID and augmented reality features. The three devices are expected to become available by later this year. And you'll know when it happens because there will be double truck ads in all of the newspapers from all of the telecom guys here and they all look the same because Apple won't let you change out any of they don't let you. Have you noticed that?
Well, and that was what led to me being an Android guy. It was during the S3 days, and I was like, okay, would I get a Samsung S3? I can take my battery out, I can exchange it, I can take out my memory cards, and Apple, I got to take it to somebody.
And then let them make all of those
and
replacement
charge me
things.
For it.
I also remember the olden days where, guys, we used to all have those clam shells. You remember the black Motorola phones?
They were really cool.
They were cool. And they came with, you could buy different batteries for them. You remember that?
Yeah.
You could get the one slim battery that it came with, and it was cool.
But come on, Ray.
Or you could get the big Bob Kelly one that was as big as 2 decks of cards stacked one against the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but for you and I Trekkie guys, There was nothing cooler than the Razor.
No, the Razor.
Come on, man.
They got to bring that thing back. 724. Ponder this among the other things that we'll get to talk about. I'm sorry, we'll get back into the heavy-duty government and sales tax and BPT increase or not increase conversation in just a little bit. But we do need to break away for Jerry Roberts and his deal this morning. We call it The Extra Point.
Your sales manager has resigned, and you need a replacement. Coming up and for your entertainment may be the worst way to do it. I'm Jerry Roberts, and that's right now on The Extra Point. I need a new sales manager. What are my options? A, advertise for a budding supervisory star who can't break through in their current situation. B, bring someone in with a successful track record in sales management from outside of my industry. C, steal away a competitor's manager. D, wait a minute, here's a great idea. Take my top salesperson who has no previous managerial experience and pull them out of the field and make them the new sales manager. Sheer brilliance. No wonder they pay me the big bucks. Absolutely, let's go for D. What could possibly go wrong? Well, let's start with this. The skill sets for a top-notch salesperson and a successful sales manager are vastly different. Just because Mary is a fabulous presenter and her clients love her doesn't mean she'll be able to teach anybody else to do the same or be able to manage all the personalities in your sales department. Good salespeople are aggressive and highly competitive. Mary has likely crunched a few toes under her pumps along the way, and it's almost a guarantee that there are some issues between her and at least somebody on the team. Now you've made Mary their boss. I've seen the number 2 sales leader resign shortly after such a hiring. Mary can sell, but can she grow talent? Can she nurture it? Will she grit her teeth and put up with people pulling some of the power trips and mind games that she herself pulled over the years? And how much time will Mary have for developing the team anyway? Because in many situations like this, the former sales star rainmaker turned manager is going to be expected to continue selling her account list, except now she'll get a guaranteed salary and not a commission. She'll be doing 2 jobs for the price of 1. And on the surface, this looks like economic genius to senior managers. Sorry to break the news. This arrangement fails more often than it succeeds. Yes, I've seen it work. But for the reasons already given, it's a long shot. Usually, someone like Mary never fulfills the role of a good sales manager and often sees her personal sales decline as well. And one day, Mary walks away. And now you have to find 2 key players. Think really hard before you take a great salesperson away from what they do best, feeding your organization. That's The Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, I'm Jerry Roberts.
Hey, that's a good one, and in some cases, a pretty timely one. You looking for a sales manager? Just thinking of, maybe I can give you the name of, because I don't need one, but I'm thinking maybe I'll give you the name of the sales manager of the competition.
Who is it this week?
No, usually that's among the first things that I think about. You know, because everything is strategy, right? So somebody says, "Oh, I need to hire somebody for this. I need to hire somebody for that." If I don't have a position, I'll see if I can identify somebody that I think is pretty good. If they don't work for me, it does a good job for somebody else, and get them out of my pool, get them out of my pool of competition. Hey, like I said, it's strategy. It's just the way life works. 7:27 in the morning. Thanks, Jerry Roberts, for the extra point. If you like, you can go to thepoint.gu, and under On Air is a listing of all of the on-air programs that we have at this radio station, and including even the short programs like the one that Jerry Roberts does. His is the first name that pops up. It'll take you to his website, and once you're at the website, an opportunity to download the transcripts for the show or find out more about what they do over at Guam Training. 7:28 in the morning, and as we roll back into this, the conversation, a lively conversation going on the message screen that goes along with the video cast of this morning's show on Facebook. JB, my buddy Jim Bonanno, who is challenging another member of this little chat here to the conversation about, okay, we're all talking about cut. Where do you think we might be able to cut to get the government of Guam out from under a $67 million, I mean, call it what it is, $70 million worth of a deficit that has been brought on by the Trump tax cuts? Always an interesting question to find out where the cuts are. And you know, there's people that are chiming in and saying, well, you changed this and you changed that. and you do the other. And JB makes the very good point, as has the administration, that all of these things are great and we can get to them in time, but we need to act today. Because we're talking about the possibility of payless paydays, and as Kevin, I like the word that you used to bring up all of the press releases and the commands coming out of Adelup, the frantic
effort,
efforts that will take place. So I don't disagree. There's obviously some work that needs to get done on the ground now. There are voices in the community that are saying these are measures that if we had listened to some of the headlines, to some of the pronouncements, and some of the audits that have come out in the couple of years ago, in the years past, maybe we should have made the changes that we're talking about now, as opposed to having to knee-jerk now as a result of recent force field events. It's not the first time that we've heard that there are unsustainable debts and deficits in this community, and maybe we should have done all of that work a long time ago so we all wouldn't be fighting at each other with each other like married people in the hallways these days, and calling special sessions in the middle of the night. It is 7:30 in the morning. If you're just waking up going, what do you mean special session in the middle of the night? Where'd that come from? I know, right? When I went to bed last night, we were working on special session number 2, but there was even another one called after that. With all the details, here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning. Guam News Time here at The Point is 31 minutes past 7 a.m. In the headlines from the Daily Post this morning, session resumes again at 10 this morning following 3 special sessions called by the governor last night to try and force senators to pass some kind of tax increase to make up for the $67 million shortfall in revenues brought on by the federal tax reforms passed in Washington in December. The frantic effort to get a tax increase passed followed defeat of the governor's proposed increase in the business privilege tax. The sales tax is now on the table, but special sessions at 7 p.m., 9 p.m., and at midnight last night saw each proposal assigned to committee for a public hearing at a later unspecified date. Meanwhile, a 32-hour work week slated to take effect for GovGuam employees next Tuesday. Yet another internal investigation has been launched at the Department of Corrections after an inmate was accidentally released from prison. DepCorp Director Tony Lamarena confirms corrections staff accidentally released inmate Franklin Akfaji over the weekend. The director said corrections personnel realized Akfaji had another commitment order after they had already released him. Akfaji was picked up Monday, placed back in custody at DOC. Lamarena said he met with his staff yesterday to talk about the problem that he attributed to a lack of a system in place to check for other cases for inmates and detainees. He said there are also issues with the department being served with orders after hours. All but one of the 7 detainees accused in the beating death of detainee Manson Ernst pleaded not guilty yesterday. Marvin Reacham, Albert Babauta Santos II, Andrew Rios Jr., Benster Benjamin, Alis Cimarron, and Jimmy Hadley pleading not guilty. Detainee Isler Fake Miller is seeking another lawyer after his prior counsel cited a conflict of interest. Ernst found dead in his cell in December at the Agana detention facility. Defendants are accused of beating him to death, reportedly as punishment for his alleged sexual assault of a woman with disability. Next court appearance for the accused scheduled for March 7th. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
When the power goes out on Guam, the little things can become surprisingly big. Small comforts are often the things we miss most during a power outage. That is why Kohler built the fastest responding generator sets in the industry. Whether you are at home or away, a residential Kohler generator will enable you and your family to live life without interruption. Kohler gas, LPG, and diesel power systems are available from Morrico Equipment, LLC on Epal Road. Call 649-1946. That's 649-1946.
Right now, traffic on the point. As we take a look at some of the usual spots, and they're all going to be a little bit rougher this morning as a result of some rain that has fallen into Anderson Air Force Base. Looks like we've got some slowing down there. On to Route 3 towards Marine Corps Drive. Traffic is moving in both directions, but slower than normal here this morning. Marine Corps Drive, southbound from Dedido into the intersection of Route 3 and Route 1. You're going to be experiencing some slowdowns as well. Moving down to Pago, that area looks like the intersection of 4 and 10, slowing down kind of in both directions, and oddly southbound traffic as you get closer to Menabusan Lane looks like it is slowing down as well. Like I said, it's got to be the rain that's falling. People, we sometimes will forget how to do this when we don't drive in the rain every single day. That's what traffic is looking like at 7:33 on the point.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Chili's has the seafood you crave, the flavors you love, at a great price with our 3 for Me Lent menu. For just $15, you can get a beverage, fresh salad, and a Lent-friendly entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a fresh house salad right before you indulge in your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our spicy shrimp tacos, savory Cajun pasta with shrimp, or our flavorful grilled ancho salmon. Chili's 3 for Me Lent menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
I'm in love with the television show I've been binging on for the last couple of days. Well, technically, it's not a binge unless you watch a whole season in one day, right? But I mean, I've been watching a lot of the show on Netflix. When the legislature's not in session, I'm still in that streaming kind of online mode. So the program that I've been watching, I got turned on to this by the guy does IT work over at Dusitani. We talked about Altered Carbon and Stranger Things and some of the other shows. He says, "Have you started watching Halt and Catch Fire?"
What?
What? Halt and Catch Fire.
I hate it when that happens.
And you know what people hate is when they say, start talking about binging and they mention a show and you're like, oh, that's not one of the ones that's not the show I thought you were going to say. Halt and Catch Fire. Bobby will appreciate this. It is a show about 4 or 5 guys that were building an IBM PC clone, and it takes place in like 1980. It's set in about 1980, 81. And it's all these people. Have you seen it, Bobby?
I caught a glimpse of it once. I didn't get to it. It was one of those things where I started for the first 5-10 minutes, the phone rings, and next thing you know, I said, I'll get back to it.
Yeah. Well, and you put it in your binging queue. But I think it's a terrific show because, and you and I old enough, I think everybody listening now, old enough to remember those old floppy disk days, the big floppy disk and monochrome.
I know what you're talking about, Ray. I've never seen one in my life.
Monochromatic. And these people, they were using computers that didn't have mice on them. There was no mouse on it. It was just a keyboard and a computer.
Yeah, remember those? I remember those, and you hit the little arrows to go up and down.
Yeah, and DOS on the screen, and everything was a DOS command, and they're playing a game, and they say it's DOS, and I'm going, God, I remember DOS text games and stuff like that.
And it was one of those where you clicked on print, and you had one of those old printers that took like 5 minutes to print one page.
Oh yeah. Well,
you're like, wow, this is amazing. This is like, whoa, this is technology.
Well, there was a place, in fact, in your building downstairs, the Barcinas boys ran a computer store that I bought a ton of stuff from back in the old days, including, and I'm going to use it, people that know will know, it's an Oki Data Microline 182, which, as far as I was concerned, was one of the finest dot matrix printers ever made. Before we got into inkjets and things like that. That was how you got through it, and you could print out 24 pages of music logs in the space of, I don't know, 45 seconds or something like that. I mean, these things, they just jammed right through whatever it is that you're doing. And so, the technological improvement is my documents are prettier, but they're slower to print.
I mean, the cool thing was my high school term paper was I had to use a typewriter, and then my college term paper I had to use that traditional old DOS system. And at that point in time, you told yourself, "Wow, this is amazing! Look at this." It was so much easier. If I make a mistake, I don't have to use whiteout.
Yeah. And so I'm an expert at finding the backspace key on every single keyboard that I've got. And I'm wondering, as we go from one topic to the other, I wonder maybe there needs to be a little bit more judicious backspacing taking place on the legislation that's floating through over there. When you and I first set up this call, and it was set up yesterday after they had already voted down bill number 245. And again, the people that voted for that bill, that voted for a tax increase, consumers and voters, Will Castro, Tommy Morrison, Luis Muñoz, and Fernando Estevez. Everybody else voted no. Mike Sinicolas wasn't there, and he would have voted no on it anyway. And then they called the legislature back into session to begin entertaining another measure that called for a sales tax. Now, I'm sure what they were thinking was, we hear from these guys in the chamber, and I'll bet they'll just go all gushy and girly when they hear that we want to propose a sales tax now. Not quite, huh?
Not quite at all. I did get the call from Senator Estevez in the afternoon, and he mentioned he was introducing his bill, but I think he was also probably caught off surprise that there was going to be a special session that very evening on his bill. But and we had the discussion, and I understand where he was coming from in terms of we know where 245 is going. There's a need for quick revenue stream, and I guess as you mentioned, for some reason the conversation in the front office has kind of gone from no, we can't do a sales tax to it might be a decent option to consider at this point. But the difference between what is on the bill, and the senator understands this, and he's amiable to changes, is that what the chamber has, I guess, has endorsed rather, or positioned out there, is a conversion option where you're eventually going to have to do away without the BPT. So in other words, if you're going to go 1% on sales tax here, you got to start looking at the reduction here. Now we also understand that. Because of all these bond borrowing measures in the last couple of years, that the BPT account is pledged right down to, I believe, sometimes you hear it's 3%, sometimes you hear it's 3.5%, but we understand that we can't convert it like overnight. That's a given. But what we were hoping for was maybe a 4-year plan, a 5-year plan, where you're going to go from this and you're going to end up right here. And the sales tax, of course, it sounds like it's going to cost consumers more, but the reality is, when you have a unpredictable tax like the BPT, which I'm sure this can all be, put out through, the chamber would be more than glad to sort of do an educational campaign on the difference. Today with the BPT, and whether you're going to move it up by 2% or 1% or leave it as it is, it's still a hidden tax, where some businesses can utilize this as a means to increase their margin.
Right.
And say, well, we're going to blame this.
I got to pay this tax. The government says I got to pay a gross receipts tax, so it's in the price of whatever it is that you're buying, and the consumer never gets an idea of what percentage of that product price is the tax that they're supposed to be paying. So I mean, at the first blush, I think that's why a lot of people would naturally gravitate towards the idea of a sales tax. But as you point out, there's no conversion here. It is an additional tax. We're still stuck with a 4% hidden tax, and now we're going to be adding a 2% sales tax.
So the very argument on what was wrong with 245 in terms of the impact on the everyday consumer is going to be identical with Bill 249, because it creates a 2% sales tax on top of this 4%. Right. Now, the senator did say he was amiable to this. We've had multiple conversations last night or yesterday afternoon, and he called me right after.
It's a rose by any other name, as they say, and I'm glad he's willing to adopt it. But we need to add language into his measure that would provide for this conversion, or the staged conversion. So as we pay down all of these BPT based bonds, and there's more than one or two of them, and pretty significant amounts, if I recall, as we pay these things down and chip away away at them, we would reduce the BPT tax. It would still be there, and then increase the sales tax.
Correct. And then the other question is, do you start off with a 2% number at this point in time, versus saying, hey, maybe a 1% here, and then we're slowly going to start, as we start the conversion process, we're going to get this to this magic number. So those are things that need to be put on the table. I don't think it's going to be addressed in 24 hours, and definitely not going to be rushed in a midnight session. These are things that require numbers. I know there's been some studies done on this, but I think we need to get some of the experts together on what these numbers would look like.
Well, find me Joe Arnett if you don't mind, Bobby. The point that has been made, and I asked you this question because I figured we'd get some sleep and you'd be able to give me a more detailed answer to it. Is they say even if we use a 1-to-1 ratio, because of the differences in the genesis, the DNA, if you will, of what constitutes a gross receipts tax and the calculations that would go into how a sales tax would impact the consumers and would impact the Department of Revenue and Taxation. It's not necessarily that for every percent increase or decrease on one would mean a percent decrease on the other. It may not necessarily mean that we will see the same numbers coming through. And I skipped that day at business school at the university, so I need somebody like you to tell me why that is.
Well, theoretically speaking, when you're talking about a sales tax, you're talking about a post-cash register tax, which means even items that may have an exemption on them previously, exemptions from a GRT, would actually have a potential of having some sort of a tax levied on them. So in the retrospect, the opportunities for the government to generate greater revenue sort of resides with the sales tax versus the GRT. Secondly, you and I are aware, and this is probably no trade secret, I'm pretty sure there are many businesses that are fudging numbers so that they reduce their GRT payments, right? Because that comes out of the business expenditure.
Call the police. There's a madman around. What do you mean? There's people that might be taking liberties with their reports.
I'm sure they're out there. But with the sales tax, it's a point of sale sort of tax. So the opportunities of fudging things, yeah, sure, we're going to have some some buttery fingers here and there, but the odds of enforcement on the sales tax would actually be a little bit more easier to manage versus that. But that's where that 1-to-1 ratio doesn't exist. There's definitely a potential of more revenue for the government per percentage point.
I see.
So that's.
But it would not necessarily mean an increase in prices for the consumer, because as you say, this tax would be applied post-sale.
Yeah, because as you start the conversion process, and this is not going to happen overnight. There's been a theory even with Bill 245 that as you increase sunset the BPT as was provided in the governor's bill, there are no guarantees that businesses will roll back their prices because now the business privilege tax was reduced. However, in due time, with competition, with online sales, which I know we're going to talk about in a bit here, with competition, that the pricing factor should start seeing some sort of an impact. So it's not going to happen overnight, and I'm not an economist. I can't tell you the theories behind all of this. I can just tell you how businesses think in general. And the conversation that I've been, involved with, and trust me, in the last year.
No, and you're the right guy to talk to because frankly, I can get Joe on the line. I can get the other Joe, Bradley, on the line. I can get any of those guys, but sometimes it's easier to hear it from another layman, if you will.
Sure.
So I appreciate having access to Bobby Schringy. Actually, I wasn't going to talk about the internet sales tax just quite yet, but what would the impact be on many of the mom and pop businesses that are currently exempted from paying a whole lot of their gross receipts taxes because of the Dave Santos Act?
It would technically be the same because once again, the Dave Santos Act wouldn't exist if you axe out the BPT altogether, right? So, and let's say we're going through a conversion process here. So while that mom and pop store, which by the way, I'm still trying to figure out which mom and pop store makes less than $50,000 a year in income.
Well, the smaller businesses. Okay, well let's instead of mom and pop store, let's talk about the guy that who's one of the guys that's running my favorite truck eatery, one of those things.
I don't think the food. Well, yeah, okay. Let's take that sweet old lady down in the flea market selling us the vegetables, right?
Okay.
Okay. Let's take her for example. And, and once again, if she's making if her revenue stream is less than $50,000 a year, the first $40,000 of her income is exempted from paying GRT.
Okay.
Or BBC rather. So this is a good example of what I meant by additional revenue streams, right? So the government does not get a single penny on the first $40,000 or on the $40,000 worth of revenue. However, they still generate the revenue from the sales that occur on top of the the post cash register sale. So as the BPT starts reducing, the government, obviously the exemption issue should not even be so much of a factor for the government, but the revenue stream from the sales tax will not fall under the cusp of the Dave Santos Act, technically. So as we transition, and
so it will cost me more to get my kangkong.
Technically, in due time, she should be reducing her price of her kangkong because the two vendors down just dropped her price.
Well, I'm thinking about the Santos Act here, and what it provides for is that she is currently selling it to me without the burden of a business privilege tax or a gross receipts tax. Now, if she has got to factor in a 2% sales tax, or if I have to factor in a 2% sales tax, that means that my kangkong now has gone up in price.
Technically, it would.
Because she has to charge me that. She didn't have to charge me the GRT before.
Yeah, but what happens if she doesn't have to pay the GRT anymore?
Well, she doesn't have to pay it now.
Technically, she still would have to factor it in her pricing because unless she's...
But she's exempted from it, and so hopefully she'll be able to buy a bigger stall next week.
Yeah. True,
So what we're saying here is that because it eliminates this benefit, this exemption, then it could have a detrimental, or I don't want to say detrimental, maybe provide a lack of stability for some of the new guys that are starting out that might be looking at some of the dollars that they make. And there's a ton of businesses, there's a ton of guys out there that do take advantage of the Santos Act.
Yeah, and well, the Santos Act it's supposed to be. I guess it wasn't designed to be a predictable factor. Meaning, okay, I'm going to show my numbers to be here so that I'm always going to be within this realm right here.
Well, when you do your reporting, you have to show your income and then show why you're taking an exemption from it.
Yeah, but normally when you're pricing your goods, you're under the impression at first that I would be within that 4%. I mean, I will not qualify because my goal is to exceed the $50,000 threshold, right? I mean, that's what I'm pricing it as, or with the hopes that I'm actually breaking that $50,000, not that I'm going below. And I can understand a really, really small person here who seasonally sells.
Well, I mean, that was the idea, is that would spur interest in cottage industries and give people an opportunity to be able to take advantage of whatever skills or products that they can generate without having to worry about getting under the thumb of the Department of Revenue and Taxation, having to pay the GRT.
In actuality, one of the positions that the Chamber applied a year ago and has been in the past is revisiting the Dave Santos Act to looking at increasing that threshold, which probably is not going to be a good discussion.
Well, if we push everything over to a sales tax, it'd be a moot conversation. It would be eliminated because it's based on that.
Exactly. And the whole idea was to encourage more businesses, more small businesses, more smaller entrepreneurs to take advantage of the incentives and possibly take the savings to apply in their businesses to grow. I mean, that's the whole purpose of, let's say, these Trump tax cuts. They were technically designed to give businesses an opportunity to reinvest. But in any case, there are definitely, it's not a perfect system, obviously. If I'm the government, I do have the opportunity of generating additional revenues that I probably didn't have yesterday. Mm-hmm. There's going to be, competition eventually has to equalize the prices. Once again, the economists can probably give us a better angle on that. But that's the concept or the discussion the Chamber has been preaching, at least in my part, for the last year and a half.
Well, the salient point from this, the takeaway is there's a lot of angles that need to be looked at. We've got to turn a lot of corners on this before we say that this is the package we want. And it's not a good idea to call the legislature into session at midnight and say, deal with this or else.
Yeah, and you need numbers. We're going to need a lot of numbers.
Okay. Internet sales tax. What the first blush on that?
The first blush was, we discussed it. It was a position. In fact, in our most recent testimony, we agreed, and I'll explain to you in a second what the theory behind that is. Problem is, we're looking at 6%. That is not what we asked for. That is not what we were hoping for. The Chamber's always been a strong stickler for an online sales tax because primarily there's this whole, buy local campaign,
yes,
yada, 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 support local businesses, but more importantly, to level the playing field, right? If Ray has a business, which he does, and he's paying his taxes, yet I'm ordering from Kevin, who's living in Hawaii, and I'm bringing the goods here, then there's sort of an unfair practice. So that's really the theory behind it. 6% is rather high. I shared that with the senator, and his philosophy was the 4% GRT and the 2% sales tax, which once again, I think we can agree that this shouldn't be the equation because the idea is not to have a PPT, or rather eventually get to a 4%.
Well, and the idea is also not to increase taxes.
Exactly.
So wait a second. So not only we have a new tax, and it is higher than anything else. Okay.
Yeah, and you're right. Now the bigger issue here is the ability to transition into it. And I know, and I was listening to the caller earlier, you get Amazon on board, they got to fill up these documents, sooner or later they're going to say, you know what, screw Guam. Are there other means around it? Well, I know there was a discussion not too long ago, former Chief Scambaluri of Customs, you know him, my brother from another mother, your sister Shelly's BFF from when they were little kids. Well, one of the things that he's always talked about, and he's always preached during his time in Customs, was building that relationship with the USPS. I don't know what the attempts have been recently. I know we've had a conversation with the congresswoman into looking into doing this as well, because just like in the CMI, you got Customs folks that are parked right outside the post office. And this allows the government an opportunity to do a number of things. One of the things that Customs desires is a greater ability to enforce, I guess the drugs that are coming in to the post office, right? So you could actually possibly kill two birds with one stone by allowing this to happen. I'm not saying this is the perfect system, and I'm not an expert on these issues. These are just discussions I've had with a number of folks. The point is, there are opportunities. The question is, where do you start, and when do you start? What are your timelines going to be? Ultimately, we need to get to a point where a sales tax should be reasonable, but should be in existence. Whether we call it a sales tax, whether we call it an excise tax, there has to be a way to generate something.
I understand, and again, the idea maybe let's not do this in a knee-jerk fashion.
Absolutely not.
There is, I think, despite all of the frantic emails and press releases that are going out, I think there's still time to make prudent decisions. And if we all decide that this is something that we want to do, it will still be something that we want to do after we've gotten some stability in our crisis.
Yeah, and while the government is addressing this fiscal fiasco that's going on, nothing precludes both sides of the House, the outer loop as well as the legislature, to look into these issues that will take some time to materialize, but they need to materialize. To me, the landmark is the conversation is finally there. A couple of weeks ago, I heard my name on various talk shows being called out by the governor about the sales tax, and I'm glad to hear that there's a conversation finally on a sales tax. May not be the one that I was talking about or the chamber's been talking about,
but it's there.
That is finally there, right?
Yeah.
And there's not one bill, but there's two bills.
There's two bills, but take another look at the measure that was going to be introduced last night at midnight, because it makes reference in Section 3 to a number of amendments made to the engrossed version of Bill 245, which failed to pass. I don't know. I recall some of what those amendments were, but I don't recall what was eventually engrossed into it before it hit the voting cycle.
Just to clarify, so there's a third bill in place. I know the San Augustine bill, I know the Estevez bill, which is 248 and 249 respectively. So there's a third bill?
No. You've got it right. There was 245, which is dead. Then they came back and wanted to talk about the Estevez bill.
49.
49. And then they wanted to come back in and talk about the San Augustine bill.
At midnight, it was Bill 15-S. That was the one that was considered at midnight. That was a hybrid bill. Sales tax as well.
We don't have a copy of that in front of me. Okay, we'll see if I can get a copy of it and then read it to you. But yes, there are three measures worth talking about. 7:59. See, I was going to ask you a question about qualifying certificates and how NetCare would seem to be on the chopping block for the suspension of that. But maybe we'll do that at another time. All right?
Sure.
I thought that was kind of punitive as well. Listen, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. That's my buddy Bobby's. No wonder why. Yeah, okay. Hey,
I don't work for NetCare.
I'll see you pretty soon. It all goes in the same pocket at the end of the day, doesn't it? We're KUSG have gotten you. Coming up, Fox News Live in just seconds. On the other side of that, Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post is going to get you all caught up on all of the big stories, so stick around.
Live from New York, the Fox Report.
I'm Lisa Brady. And this is a Fox News alert. The White House communications chief, Hope Hicks, is quitting. Fox's John Decker is live at the White House.
Just one day after testifying for more than 8 hours before the House Intelligence Committee investigating Russian election meddling, White House Communications Director Hope Hicks has submitted, and the president has accepted her resignation. Hicks, one of the president's most loyal aides, was one of the first staffers hired by the president 3 years ago when he began his run for the White House. Yesterday, Hicks reportedly told lawmakers that her work for President Trump occasionally requires her to, in her words, tell white lies. The president praised Hicks in a statement saying Hope is outstanding and has done great work for the last 3 years. Lisa?
Thanks, John. President Trump signaling again he's not afraid to go head-to-head with the NRA, telling lawmakers in a bipartisan meeting he will consider raising the federal minimum age to buy assault-style rifles.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to give it a lot of consideration, and I'm the one bringing it up, and a lot of people don't even want to bring it up because they're afraid to bring it up.
Pennsylvania Senator Pat Toomey among the Republicans with reservations about an age change.
The vast majority of 18, 19, and 20-year-olds in Pennsylvania who have a rifle or a shotgun, they're not a threat to anyone. They're law-abiding citizens. They have that because they want to use it for hunting or target shooting.
Democrats urging a ban on assault-style weapons and background checks for all sales, including at gun shows. The president again defending his call to arm some teachers. February ends cold on Wall Street. The Dow down 380 points after a more than 500-point swing during the session. The S&P and the Nasdaq also lower. All three finished the month in the red. Gun stocks were lower today overall, but Dick's Sporting Goods higher after announcing it'll stop selling assault-style rifles. Fair and balanced.
Listen, my life changed because someone was there to get me to use drugs. No one can understand. Whether or not they've struggled with addiction themselves, people seem to think that having someone who will listen is gonna help make it better. I'm realizing that I need help.
I'm listening.
I need help. I'm realizing that I think that having someone who will listen is going to help make it better. Whether or not they've struggled with addiction themselves, people seem to understand. No one can get me to use drugs. My life changed because someone was there to listen.
1 in 7 Americans will struggle with addiction during their lifetime. Want to know how you can help? Go to heretolisten.com for tips and tools to help turn addiction around. A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council.
Attorney General Jeff Sessions defending himself after criticism from the president for asking the Justice Department's Inspector General to probe government surveillance on the Trump campaign.
The Attorney General issuing this statement that reads in part, "As long as I am the Attorney General, I will continue to discharge my duties with integrity and honor, and this department will continue to do its work in a fair and impartial manner according to the law and Constitution."
Fox's Catherine Herridge in a morning tweet, the president suggesting the IG's office will take too long and that Justice Department Department lawyers would have been a better choice. An emotional return for students at Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, back in class for the first time since the Valentine's Day shooting.
We've seen the worst of humanity, but we've also seen that followed by incredible acts of kindness and support from throughout Broward County and across the world, and we're extremely grateful for that.
Broward County School Superintendent Robert Runcie, they are transitioning back to class with 3 half days this week. A high school social studies teacher in Georgia under arrest after barricading himself in a classroom with a gun. Steve Bartu is the principal at Dalton High.
I put my key in the door, and again, he slammed the door before I could open it and said, "Don't come in here, I have a gun." And so at that point, I put our school into a threat lockdown.
The school resource officer wasn't there at the time. The teacher, 53-year-old Jesse Davidson, fired a single shot through a window in the classroom. Didn't hit anyone. He was ultimately taken into custody without incident. A rare tribute for the Reverend Billy Graham, lying in honor in the U.S. Capitol Rotunda.
Everywhere he went, Reverend Graham delivered the same beautiful message. God loves you. That was his message. God loves you.
President Trump, part of a wreath-laying ceremony earlier today. He will also attend Graham's funeral Friday. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News Radio.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
When the power goes out on Guam, the little things can become surprisingly big. Small comforts are often the things we miss most during a power outage. That is why Kohler built the fastest responding generator sets in the industry. Whether you are at home or away, a residential Kohler generator will enable you and your family to live life without interruption. Kohler gas, LPG, and diesel power systems are available from Morico Equipment LLC on Epal Road. Call 649-1946. That's 649-1946.
Connecticut water treatment customers don't keep coming back. They're satisfied the first time. That's right. Connecticut non-electric water treatment systems take care of your water problems, and you won't need to keep calling us for repairs. Join the list of satisfied Connecticut customers who purchased their non-electric water systems years ago and are still enjoying clean, conditioned water without any hassles from timers or circuit boards.
American Water Tech. Smarter water. Better water. Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email them at info@AmericanWaterTech.com.
Subway's got your fresh choices for Lent. Sink your teeth into the classic tuna or indulge in the mouth-watering greatness of our seafood sensation. Or try our tasty Veggie Max, a delicious vegetarian patty free of artificial colors and flavors. All our subs are served on freshly baked bread paired with vegetables, cut fresh daily in restaurants, and sauces that are sure to excite your taste buds. Visit any of our convenient locations today at Subway. Fresh is what we do.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care. Our island, your health plan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 8 a.m. this Thursday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Guam lawmakers head back into session at 10 a.m. this morning following 3 special sessions called by the governor last night, following the defeat of his proposed increase in the business privilege tax. The vote on the BPT increase came after senators spent yet another day in a fruitless search for alternative funding sources. None were found. The roll call vote on Bill 245 came shortly after 5 p.m. yesterday afternoon. 10 lawmakers voted against it. Only Republican Senators Will Castro, Luis Muñoz, Tommy Morrison, and Fernando Esteves voted in favor of it. Senator Michael San Nicolas was absent. The governor expressing deep disappointment in the outcome. He accused the legislature of letting down the people of Guam by failing to pass his measure. 32-hour work weeks goes into effect next Tuesday for all GovGuam employees. But it wasn't over after the defeat of his bill. Immediately after his tax hike was voted down, the governor called a special session for 7 p.m. last night to consider a sales tax proposed by fellow Republican Senator Fernando Estevez. 2% on retail sales, 6% on internet sales. At 7 o'clock, the special session got underway and ended 10 minutes later when the Estevez bill was assigned to the Taxation Committee for a public hearing to be set by committee chair Senator San Augustine, who himself introduced a similar sales tax bill on Monday. Governor didn't like that, and he called another special session at 9 last night to force lawmakers to consider the San Augustine bill. Same drill, assigned to committee for a public hearing, no date set. Not good enough for the governor, who called yet another special session at midnight. He called it an emergency session to consider a hybrid bill of tax increases combining Senator Joe Augustine's bill on the sales tax and other amendments introduced by senators in recent days. Had enough? Guam lawmakers did. At midnight, they recessed shortly after they got underway without voting on any of the sales tax bills. They're supposed to be back at it again at 10 this morning. Meanwhile, that 32-hour work week takes effect on Tuesday. We'll have more news after this.
Wendy's welcomes the new Smoky Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger, featuring smoky, sautéed portobello mushrooms, melted Asiago cheese, crispy applewood smoked bacon, and crunchy fried onions atop a juicy beef patty. For those craving the same great taste, Wendy's Smoky Mushroom Bacon Potato is also loaded with sautéed portobello mushrooms, cheddar cheese sauce, and crispy applewood smoked bacon. Here, for a limited time, get a delicious Smoky Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger and Smoky Mushroom Bacon Potato today. Wendy's. Now that's better.
The car of the year is here. The all-new 2018 Honda Accord. Only a Triple J. Total redesign inside and out. It's no surprise that it's Car and Driver's 10 Best a record 32 times. With all-new features like the Honda Sensing Standard, Bluetooth and reverse camera, an all-new touchscreen setup, and an all-new 1.5 and 2.0 turbo engines. Best in its class and equipped with Honda's first 10-speed transmission. You'll have to test drive for yourself or take a virtual 360-degree tour of the Accord online at triplejguam.com. Triple J. Customers first.
11 minutes past 8 a.m. here at The Point. Yet another internal investigation has been launched at the Department of Corrections after an inmate was accidentally released from prison. DEPCOR Director Tony Lamarena confirming corrections staff accidentally released inmate Franklin Akfaji over the weekend. The director said corrections personnel realized Akfaji had another commitment order after they had already released him. Akfaji was picked up Monday, placed back in custody at DOC. Lamarena said he met with staff yesterday to talk about the problem. He attributed it to a lack of community and a lack of systems in place to check for other cases for inmates and detainees. He said there are also issues with the department being served with orders after hours. Less than 2 weeks ago, DOC personnel accidentally released another detainee after getting one release order from the court in one case, and staff didn't realize there was another detention order in a different case. Meanwhile, next door at the Department of Youth Affairs, 2 teens back in custody this morning after running away from the DYA cottage home Wednesday evening. 15-year-old boy self-surrendered to police at the Agana precinct yesterday morning. The other 13-year-old boy apprehended a little later in Agate. Both minors have been placed on lockdown, face some additional charges of beyond control. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray here with the weather.
It rained earlier. It's probably going to rain again, and that's all right. We need it. There's still a fire weather watch in effect through tonight. Partly cloudy skies right now with a slight chance of showers. Again, some of you might be in those showers. East winds to about 20 miles an hour. Daytime highs today should be about 88 degrees. 76 overnight tonight. Partly cloudy skies with a slight chance of showers as well. Moderate to fresh trade winds, gusty at times with just brief showers expected over the next couple of days. 8:12, that's news and weather together here on The Point.
Relax, enjoy, and be greeted by the spectacular view of Hagåtña Bay when you visit the Point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam. Gaze into the beautiful sunset as you unwind to the music of Philip Garcia and Natasha on Wednesdays, Mama Shar and Nina on Thursdays, Philip Garcia and Louise Muñoz on Fridays, and Jack Larimer on Saturdays. Open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Happy hour from 5 to 8 p.m. with all cocktail drinks for $7. Receive a discount when you present your SPG card. Call Peter Yaban at 646-2222 for reservations at the Point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort.
It says here, this program is brought to you by King's Restaurant, serving Guam favorites to families like yours for over 40 years. And they're not even a little tired. King's Restaurant, always open, always local.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
The Ray Gibson Show. Call now. 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Currently 8:13. Let me just quick gander at what the roadways might be looking like near you now. Because, you know, it rained, and I don't know about you, but I'm no good in the rain, babe. I'm not any good, period. But it gets even worse when it gets raining, and I've noticed as I get older, I become that old man driver. All right, Marine Corps Drive northbound towards Anderson Air Force Base. We're seeing traffic beginning to congest up through there. Still some slowdowns in Dededo. Route 3 is an angry red mess right now, and it has everything to do with the nature of the construction and that one good light that gets you out of that particular roadway. Up and down Marine Corps Drive through there, also going to be watching some slowing down. To get out from under Marine Corps Drive, I think a lot of people will take Route 27 from Fatima into that part of Harmon. But the problem is you're not the only one that's thinking that. So inbound traffic on that lane is beginning to slow down. 8, 10, and 16 is also kind of ugly right now. Not so bad on the Route 16 towards that intersection, but in and out on Route 8 to the intersection and through from Route 10 to Barragata is also slowing down. Is there any place right now that is not in the middle of some kind of congestion? Even Polaris Point to Navy down in Sumai looks like it's beginning to crowd up a little bit. So 8:15 this morning. My idea is just stay where you are right now. And see if you can kill some time someplace. Maybe go find a cup of coffee or something like that. Maybe a hot breakfast, and try to hit the road a little bit later on after everybody from first and second string get into the office. It's 8:15, and it's time for this morning's Sports Report with Blake Watson.
What?
That's you.
Yeah. What? What was that?
Here.
Your camera's crooked.
Was it?
You look like you're in the Batman universe.
That's what old school. It's all cockeyed. Don't worry about it.
There you go. Is it
I
better?
think it looks good. I think you're right. We need to put some blams and bazowies there.
It's for all of our hungover listeners. Maybe it's just take into account their vision this morning.
They're not hungover. You know what the problem is everybody was up late watching the legislature.
That's right.
Said I'd like to be
tired eyes.
I can put a couple of gimmicks up on the screen like in a Batman movie. I can put where is it? This one here. There it is. So
That's the dancing Pac-Man.
That's the whenever I got somebody on the line that says, Ray, that's a good question, or Ray, you're absolutely right, I try to remember to put this thing up here. I think that's cool. I've got another one that I like to put up there.
Ooh, I like he's even in HD, Homer. I like the Star Wars background. The Star. It looks like the old Windows screensaver there.
Yeah. So
I like the galaxy going on
in the background on the visual radio. For those of you that don't understand what he's talking about, find us on Facebook. We do a Facebook live stream stream every day. And then at the end of the program at 10 o'clock, it turns into a video on demand. So you'll be able to hear all of the unkind things that I've had to say about people that have kept me and the legislature up until after midnight.
I also want to take time for a personal shout out. Shout out to everybody down at JP Success Academy as they were tuned in yesterday.
Oh, nice.
They were tuned in yesterday listening to the superintendent, and I've got some my other half. She works down there, so I go, hey, superintendent's on with Ray, and so she goes, oh my gosh, do you have the live stream? So I sent her the link. So,
oh, nice,
so
nice,
they were
nice.
watching you.
There seems to be obviously a lot of interest from the perspective of people that are in the education game, wondering to what degree they're going to be protected from 32-hour work weeks, furlough Fridays, that kind of thing, and what the administration of the Department of Education wants to try to do is, as best as possible, they want to drive the conversation.
Right.
Let's give us the resources that we need to be able to make our own independent decisions. And as I say, we're going to start seeing if everything happens the way it's supposed to happen, we're probably going to start seeing some rollbacks in the capabilities of the government to do a lot of different parts of their jobs, including what happens when it gets to be time to talk about sports. We're
Baseball.
already not using Paseo.
Right. Already not using Paseo. That's it's a big detriment to that whole league, as we talked about this week already. Yep. And I mean, it just seems to be the government just seems to have their hands full with decisions that need to be made for money and taxes and all that stuff. Yeah, and it affects a lot.
Well, we've had plenty of time to look at these problems, and let's.
Oh, you mean they didn't just come up this year?
No, and I've been saying for years we can't live like the Kardashians around here.
I don't read.
And so here it comes. The bill is due for our big banquet, our big buffet of high living, and we don't have the money to.
You know what's
pay
funny
it
is it's like it kind of reminds me, and I don't mean this as any disrespect to anybody or anything, but it always kind of reminds me of how I didn't know how credit cards worked as a kid, and so I was like, oh, what do you mean we don't have any money, parents? We got that card. You just hand it over. We got checks, right? Just write whatever you need to on the check, and we don't need money. We got checks.
I still have checks. How come we be out of money?
Yeah. So it's kind of like that. I never got it.
Yeah,
until I got older.
So the thing is, you bring up a thing because I thought I was pretty good when I was able to get my hands on a credit card and really be able to max that thing out. And then I remember I tried to do something like that with an American Express card, and then I learned there's a distinction between a credit card and a charge card.
That's right.
One of them they'll let you slide for a couple of months. On the other one, American Express likes to get paid every month.
Oh yeah, they really like it.
Not just a little bit. We want the whole thing.
They got a fun production for those black cards, right?
So you got $900 in expenses that you put on your American Express card. Thank you. And how much do I owe? You owe $900. Can I give you $450 now and $450 later? No, you owe $900 now.
Well, you can, but you just can't use the card anymore.
Yeah, and the lady will say unkind things about you. I can't tell you how many fights I've gotten into with the 800 lady.
I don't care how they do it at Discover. This is American Express, and this is how we do it.
So what happened in sports? Anything?
Yes. There's playoffs going on, high school playoffs for girls softball, and the Southern High Dolphins grabbed their first big win yesterday in the playoff opener. They win via mercy rule over the Teadston Titans 15-3, sending their season into the end. And today is a game. If you have not been to Academy's Field, it's at FD. They do share the baseball field there. They bring in the fence for the Academy softball team. So GW, big rivalry. GW taking on Academy. First round of the playoffs today at 4 p.m. is when the first pitch will fly. And also, I know you. I'm going to get to the congratulations in a second. But real quick, today, All-Island Tennis Selection meeting. I know you probably know about that, but for those who don't, the IIAAG will convene and do, give their votes and their opinions on who should be All-Island Tennis.
We'll watch with a great degree of interest, as we
I'm
always
sure.
do, and rely on the coaches and the people to make the right decisions, not based on any kind of pressure they might feel listening to the radio.
Despite the stations that they may listen to in their leisure time. And also shout out, congratulations is in order to the Harvest Eagles girls tennis team.
Yeah.
They finished undefeated 9-0. They took the 2018 IIAAG championship, and I believe if my reporting is correct from last week, it is their first one. Is that right? Their first tennis championship for the ladies over there at Harvest.
It's a new program, yeah.
Okay, so I believe that I read that, so that's where I'm basing that information off of. So I'm just making sure that I got all my ducks in a row there. Anywhere else? Oh, and Michael Menn, IIAG high school boys basketball. He is named MVP of the league, I believe. Where is that? Yes, he's the guard from St. John. I know. I've been watching Michael Menn for a couple seasons now. He was voted as league MVP of the 2018 season, and he leads the All Island selections.
All right, 8:22 in the morning, and a story I wanted to alert you to, just because in case you don't know, in case you haven't seen her yet, or have met her. And I always thought my mom was the #1 fan of all #1 fans. I'm sure you feel the same way about your mom. Josephine Maatniau, who is the mother of baby Joe. And I ran into her a couple of weeks ago, and she just charmed $20 out of me.
Really?
Yeah. So
Very nice lady.
I'd run into her, and she's making a big splash. You know, I mean, it's not like people don't know who Baby Joe is, right? But you know, she's out there doing fundraisings, and we'll talk to you for as long as you've got time for as I said, charm some money out of you as well. So she's got these great Baby Joe Taimenglu stickers and things like that. So like I said, I bought some. So if you don't have one already, buy a couple for some friends. But otherwise, see Kevin, because I gave him the stack that I got from her. But Baby Joe's mom is out there doing that mom thing, and she's just an absolutely delightful
Very
woman.
cool, and you can also watch him Bellator. I believe it's this weekend, Bellator 195. He's going to be taking on an individual named Joe Warren. So Baby Joe Taimenglu versus some nickname, I'm sure, Joe Warren.
The question that I always have with these things is, how do I watch that for free?
You know, I don't. UFC, I know more about as far as, like, you know, when it's on and how to watch it. You know, with Fight Passes and Fox 9. But with Bellator and Invicta, you know, the other organizations, I don't really know how to watch them.
Okay, so
maybe. Oh, you know what? Bellator, I do know, Ray. If you have it, FS1. They'll probably be showing it on Fox Sports 1 if you have that in the extended cable package.
Okay,
I know I have it at my house. It's like HD, it's like channel 623 or something.
What always happens to me is I will find out about the fight afterwards. That was today, wasn't it? All right, that's my buddy Blake Watson, and he takes care of sports. You can listen to him do his DJ thing over at Star 101, where he is going to be headed next. Coming up next, 888-8255. Phone lines ringing. I better pick them up.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
Subway's got your fresh choices for Lent. Sink your teeth into the classic tuna or indulge in the mouth-watering greatness of our seafood sensation. Or try our tasty Veggie Max, a delicious vegetarian patty free of artificial colors and flavors. All our subs are served on freshly baked bread paired with vegetables, cut fresh daily in restaurants, and sauces that are sure to excite your taste buds. Visit any of our convenient locations today at Subway. Fresh is what we do.
Okay, I think I got it. So when they called him in at 7, it was for the Estevez bill. When they called him in at 9, it was for Joe St. Augustine's bill.
Right.
And then when they called him in at midnight, it was for the hybrid, which, as I understand it, is basically Joe St. Augustine's bill with. They put an extra on it. And the extra is Section 3, all of the amendments made to the engrossed version of Bill 245-34, which failed at the session held on the 28th, shall be incorporated in full into this act. So the question that I've got, and I hate it when they do this, because what amendments? Please spell those out in the documentation, please, so that the people that are watching as much as they possibly can this drama continue to unfold can stay up on things. I recall some of the amendments that they were talking about at the legislature yesterday, and I know that there were a couple people that still had amendments to put in, and then they broke. So I wasn't sure what the heck was happening to them. Apparently, they'd been engrossed. I still don't know what they are. Hey, Jack, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Raymond.
Hey, buddy.
First-time caller.
Long-time listener, yes. I recognized the voice. And you're supposed to start off with, hello, Raymond.
Raymond, my man. Hey, congratulations on the new digs.
Hope you like the station. Hope you like the visuals when you can.
I had only that one brief time when I called in to, just a brief question about net neutrality.
Right.
That was the only time that I had. But now, you're on HD, so you sound a lot better. Almost true.
It almost sounds like it's true. It's real.
Yeah, that's Raymond. But yeah, I remember that guy back when he first broke in. When he broke in the 10 o'clock show back in the day. With John Anderson.
Yeah, I still think I'm one of the luckiest guys.
We had a little throwback between us too. But it's nice to see you back or hear you back on, and see you back on this side of the mic. But
I can't tell you, Jack. I mean, I jump out of the bed in the morning. I absolutely do. There's so much to talk about, and I think for a long time there was a real, what's the word I want to use? A fancy word, a paucity, huh? I thought, good high-ended talk.
Yeah, it gives you time to reflect also, on where you're going, what you're doing, your points of views, your values, and it gives you the time to maybe reconsider and recalculate the things that you thought were, important.
Well, I've evolved.
I wanted to respond to this $67 million shortfall and what Bobby Sharingi was speaking earlier this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Since he wanted to venture into my realm of internet.
Yeah.
I mean, I shop on the internet, and yes, I do sell vegetables down at the flea market. And since he wanted to lend his expertise on those ventures, let me delve and lend my expertise in what I consider.
Wait. Can I didn't realize there was going to be delving.
Sarcastic.
No, but let me. No, it's okay. I want to give you time. Is the point? Can I just real quick handle the last round of headlines with Kevin? And then as soon as he's done, I'm going to come right back to you. Got a great connection here, and frankly, I've missed you too. Right? If we can do this mutual appreciation thing, I don't know how to quit you, Jack.
Okay.
So hold on just a second, and then we'll take care of a little bit of station business and roll into it. Did I press the wrong button? I did, Jack. Oh my God, I'm sorry, I hung up on you. I'm such a virgin in this studio. So just give me a ring back. Do headlines anyway. Here's Kevin Kerrigan with the last report from the Guam Daily Post.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8:30. Session resumes again at 10 this morning following 3 special sessions called by the governor last night to try and force senators to pass some sort of tax increase to make up for the $67 million shortfall in revenues projected for this fiscal year. The frantic effort to get a tax increase passed following defeat of the governor's proposed increase in the business privilege tax yesterday afternoon. A sales tax is now on the table, but special session at 7 p.m. last night, 9 p.m., and midnight. So each sales tax proposal assigned to committee for a public hearing at a later unspecified date. No action was taken. Meanwhile, questions and confusion throughout GovGuam offices yesterday following the executive order implementing a 32-hour work week for GovGuam employees next Tuesday. Guam Federation of Teachers was flooded with calls, emails, and text messages from employees asking whether the governor could issue such an order and what they could do about it. The GFT union represents more than 2,000 GovGuam employees, including firemen, police officers, as well as teachers. Union Representative Robert Koss said it appears the governor does have the authority to issue the executive order for a 32-hour work week, but he said the order leaves a lot of gray areas, and he hopes the legislature can come up with a solution to avoid the 32-hour work week. Guam Fire Department planning to close 3 fire stations next week, according to a statement from Adelup following the governor's announcement of that 32-hour work week. Deputy Fire Chief Joey San Nicolas advising the administration that he has no choice but to shut down the Estumbo, Piti, and Talafofo fire stations to curtail overtime and immediately reduce costs. The release from Adelup blames the legislature and Speaker Benjamin Cruz in particular for what the governor calls months of delays on several bills introduced by the governor to avert the current fiscal crisis. The release calls that crisis the cruise crisis. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Connecticut water treatment customers don't keep coming back. They're satisfied the first time. That's right. Connecticut non-electric water treatment systems take care of your water problems, and you won't need to keep calling us for repairs. Join the list of satisfied Connecticut customers who purchased their non-electric water systems years ago and are still enjoying clean, conditioned water without any hassles from timers or circuit boards.
American Water Tech. Smarter water, better water. Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email them at info@americanwatertech.com.
We have those moments in our lives that happen unpredictably. The unexpected instances that we did not really need. Now you can count on us to stay well, pa-pa-da, to live well, pa-pa-da, to stay well, making sure you stay well. Oh, we'll lift you up when times are low. Now see how far we'll go, and stay well.
Stay Well Insurance. See how far we'll go.
Well, this turned into a little bit more of an adventurous day for drivers, didn't it? Looking at the Right Now traffic gizmos things that we have here over on The Point, looking at traffic that I don't normally see a lot of building up, but it looks like between Salampago, Ordot, and Sinahanya, you might have a little bit of trouble getting through Route 4 and then into the downtown area. But once you're there, you shouldn't have any problems at all. 8, 10, and 16. Still kind of snagging up here as a result of all of the extra traffic on the roadway. People trying to avoid one section or the other, and unfortunately, we just don't have enough roads here. So when you go off of one road, you're just going to add to the congestion on the other roads. Into and out of Route 27, up and down through Fatima, you'll see some delays, and then traffic moving into town on Marine Corps Drive is also going to be backed up. Looks like everything is cleared up on the way into, well, maybe I spoke too soon. You might expect some delays getting into Anderson Air Force Base and moving through Potts. It's 8:34 on The Point.
For over 55 years, Community First has served our island as a full-service financial institution. And now, we're proud to introduce the new Community First Student-Run Credit Union, open in Manila on Route 10. Guam's first student-run financial institution, which means it's operated by college students like us, ready to serve all our members, existing and new. We're just down the road from UOG and GCC. Community First Guam Federal Credit Union, now open in Manila. This credit union is federally insured by NCUA.
$7 meal from Circle K. Get your choice of 2 Nathan's all-beef hot dogs or a half-pound Nathan's all-beef footlong, a big wrap bag of chips, and any size Polar Pop. That's a giant deal of a meal, all for only $7. Circle K. Take it easy.
Yeah, buddy. 8:35. My name is Ray. The radio station is called The Point. The program is The Ray Gibson Show, and I'm delighted to have you along for the ride. Also delighted that I can see many of you come and go on the Facebook stream. Should be able to pick us up and watch the thing at thepoint.gu on the World Wide Web. Incidentally, if you go to that website right now, we've asked the question, because I still think it's an interesting one that showed up on a piece of paperwork from the governor's office earlier this week. You remember earlier in the drama, like yesterday, where they were talking about reorganizing the legislature and making a part-time legislature. So I asked, should the Guam legislature be part-time or full-time? 100% of the people responded, said, let's make it a part-time legislature, cheaper and less opportunities for mischief. What do you think, Jack?
I think that it's a little bit off the care, but let me explain my position first. If I can help Bobby Sharingi pen a letter from the Chamber of Commerce to the government of Guam and to the governor and to the legislature, the only thing that should be coming out of his mouth or out of his pen is that, yes, Governor, we will be able to absorb the people that you cut because we're going to, in conjunction with GCC, we're going to need these people to help with the construction boom that's coming down the high. Now, we won't be able to pay them, the government value, but we will be able to pay them the fair market value. That's the only thing that Bobby Shiringi and the Chamber of Commerce should be working on. Now, if they want to write something about the corporate tax that they're getting at, they're free to do that too. But they have no business discussing what President Trump allowed me to have on my paycheck, because they are dead wrong to think that I'm taking that well-deserved tax cut that President Trump gave me into my income, into my paycheck. All that money that he gave me, the president gave me, is going straight into this economy. Instead of me just buying a loaf of bread and an off-brand luncheon meat, this time I'll be able to buy a loaf of bread and maybe the name brand. Maybe this time I'll be able to buy the Skippy instead of that awfully tasty Western brand. Every penny the government that President Trump gave back to me in my paycheck is going straight back into the economy of Guam. Now, if Bobby Shiringi wants to discuss corporate taxes, he's well in his right to do so. But shame on him if he's promoting any sort of tax increase. Shame on him.
No, wait a second. Let me. I appreciate you delving, and you've hit 2 points that I appreciate completely. But Bobby Shiringi is not suggesting any kind of tax increase. The chamber has, since the beginning of this, and actually for some time, have been promoting a sales tax as opposed to a gross receipts tax. And this crisis is affording a little bit more discussion on the subject of sales tax versus BPT. Their position is, number one, now is not a good time to do this, and number two, there should be some kind of a conversion so that if there's a 2% sales tax, it should replace 2% of the GRT.
Well, first of all, the original tax commission that began with Governor Gutierrez, that wasn't their recommendation. That was not their recommendation. How they jumped from a conversion from a gross receipt tax to sales tax, they're leaving out the majority of the story. That's what happens when you convert a novel into a TV show
or a movie. And for clarity, because I've asked former Governor Gutierrez about this as well, his position has evolved. There was a point where he was not a fan of the sales tax, but in these times now, again, his position has evolved so that he would be a little bit more, he would embrace it a little bit more in this conversation.
But what was the result of that tax commission? It wasn't a sales tax.
What was the result of any tax commission?
No, they wanted a value-added tax, which is not a sales tax. They wanted a value-added tax because there was an unfairness of how tax is being paid here on the island, and it's really wrong that businesses such as wholesales or transactions between wholesales and retails are, they're tax exempt. They don't care. So the result of that that tax commission was, what we need is some sort of value-added tax in which everybody from point one to point B pays their fair portion of taxes. That's the result of that. It wasn't a sales tax. And sales tax has not evolved. It's still the same scheme. It's still the same scheme. How do we get the taxes? And who do we pass the buck on to? Which is regressive in terms of nature.
Right. And I'm not going to disagree with you, and I'm not armed mentally for the debate on a value-added tax. But I think that there are too many opportunities if we move into a VAT situation where the taxes are additive, as you point out, at every stage. I just worry that would contribute to increased cost of goods for me.
But that's just it. What they're proposing right now, where the discussion is an increase in tax in burden on me.
Okay, that's not Bobby. That's not Bobby. That increased tax burden is coming from all of the people at the legislature that are all of a sudden enamored with this sales tax idea, and now we have 3 proposals, and Bobby was simply reacting to them.
Reacting to them by discussing on how we're keeping revenue from a flea market, from internet sales.
Well, that was based on, and I didn't agree with him on that one. With my position was there are a number of small businesses out there that are able to take advantage of the Santos Act and be exempted by virtue of the fact that they're very small businesses and they have not achieved the threshold of gross receipts to have to pay any of the GRT. And if we make changes to that, then all of a sudden a lot of these small businesses would be would no longer enjoy that exemption. And I think that would have a stifling effect on the entrepreneurs here.
But the exemptions that we're granted on our small business side, all that money goes back into the island's economy. We don't go and buy a golf course in Las Vegas. We don't go and take our profits and try to start a liberal national radio network in the States. Every penny that we as small businesses make goes either to the rising cost of fuel, the rising cost of power, the rising cost of water. It goes into everything that we make, everything. And if by chance we happen to save a little for our son's education, that savings is on us. But it should be a great shame. It should be a great shame that the Chamber of Commerce doesn't come out and say, no, we don't want any new taxes. We're not in the business of converting taxes until you plug the leakholes in your revenue. Until you plug the leakholes where you're leaking your revenue. We're not in favor of anything that you have no business. The only business they have to talk about is how to deal with the corporate tax refunds that they're getting.
You and I are singing from the same page of the choir book, but I
no business in discussing on the price of goods for us here that are barely making it. We're not buying Bitcoin. We're not jumping on the plane with Gita on the next tax exempt bond sales for the island. What we're doing is we're just trying to make it, buying it on the same loaf of bread, the same. And what they're doing, what the government is doing, and what the governor is proposing is that we think that you just might be. We don't want you to upscale your stuff. You're quite fine with your loaf of bread and you're selling your vegetables at the flea market. But you know what? We think that you're going to take that money that Trump gave you, that President Trump gave you, and you're going to spend it off island. I can guarantee you, Raymond, today you go out, you go to lunch, you go anywhere you take out and you exchange your money with that person across from you, be a cashier or a waiter or something, all that money that Trump gave back to them is staying here on the island.
I agree. As I said, you and I are singing from the same page of the choir book. But let me touch on this because I got another call on the other line, so I want to get to that. But I want to touch on a point that you brought up initially, because I think that bodes well and shows confidence in where this community could be headed if we don't cut off our nose to spite our face. If there is a problem, if there are people who have to exit their position in the government of Guam for whatever reason, there is, in the private sector, going to be opportunities for you.
That's what the Chamber of Commerce is supposed to be discussing when it comes to things like that. How do you support each other? But there's no way. That's why I don't go to these meetings, Ray. That's why it's always about the two brown tree snakes trying to convince the cocoa bird on what to have to lunch. And I'm the cocoa bird in this situation. No, I'm not going to go to those meetings. But the bottom line, Raymond, is that when President Trump gave me more in my back to me on my paycheck, that money is going straight back into the island's economy. Now, if Bobby Sharingi wants to discuss corporate tax refunds, he's welcome to do that. he's welcome to discuss that with the government. But at no means should he be at the table discussing on how to have me for lunch. You know?
I got you, Jack. I'm gonna let you go. I want to tell you how much I've missed you. Your point of view is always is well taken.
Okay, Raymond, you have a good day.
I will. I'm glad you found me. 888-8255. That's 888-8255. And if you just recently go, oh, he's back on the radio. Well, I'm glad that you found me as well. Tell a friend. Go on Facebook, like and follow thepoint.gu on the Facebook page. That way you'll know when we're on the air and when we're doing video streaming. I want to say we finally were able to wake up a senator, but I'm sure that's not the case. I'm sure that Senator Atta has been awake all morning long. Majority Leader of the 34th Guam Legislature, up past midnight last night. Good morning, Senator. How you doing?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you, Ray.
I'm glad. I was going to say I saw you on the YouTube video, but it wasn't live. I saw that this morning at about 5:30, and saw you go through the ministerial work of the legislature before doing anything else. And then Therese got all excited about something. So the Vice Speaker got all excited about recessing versus adjournment, and you wanted to get everybody back together on the 11th of March, and she wanted everybody to get back together at 10 o'clock this morning. What was going on there?
Well, first of all, the reason why I made the motion to recess until next Saturday on the 11th is that that would then have given us the time necessary to conduct the public hearings on the three bills that have been introduced so far, the one by Senator San Agustin, Senator Esteves, and now the Governor's Bill 5S, which really is a version of Senator San Agustin's bill. The earliest that San Agustin and Esteves' bill could be heard will be this Thursday. That is already well on its way. The public hearing is scheduled for Thursday at 9 a.m. The governor's bill, to give it the public hearing and adhere to the law's requirement for a 5-day notice for a public hearing, the earliest that that can be conducted would be Friday. So if we recess and came back in on Saturday, we would then have done all the hearings and the committee reports to be able to discuss all three measures when we come back on Saturday. The Vice Speaker, of course, had concerns that if we recessed for the whole week and an emergency should come up, then the legislature would not be able to call itself back into session to deal with that particular emergency. Well, fine, okay. So the motion was changed that we will recess until this morning at 10 a.m.
Right.
And when we come in at 10, I'm not sure what's going to happen. And we'll cross that bridge when we get to it at 10 o'clock. But what's important is that we've got to have public hearings on these three bills. We got to bring in the subject matter experts. We got to give the community an opportunity to be able to voice their opinion about, for example, applying a 2% sales tax without any exemptions. 2% sales tax on baby formula, on medicines, on food. We've got another measure which proposes a 2% increase, sales tax rather, but does provide for exemptions on these sort of things. And then, of course, then you've got the governor's version, which basically is the across the board 2% sales tax, no exemptions, et cetera.
Well, there were some. The third version, Section 3, is requesting that all of the amendments made to the engrossed version of Bill 245 would be included now, and I think that's the hybrid. It's San Augustin's bill with these amendments included, and I finally got Carlos sent me a list of what they were. Number one, repeal the referendum requirement with regard to voter approval of the increase in taxes or new taxes, correcting a typo which did not increase the GRT on insurance insurance premiums, and number 3, establishment of a GMH trust account, which is an amendment that had been proposed by Senator Espaldon, seeming a long time ago. And golly, it might have been 2 whole days ago when that particular amendment was up for discussion over at the legislature. So do I assume then that because the governor is approving or likes these amendments or has included them in the bill that he likes them?
Well, yeah, and in fact, when those amendments were put up, his people were down at the legislature, and they did say, okay, the governor is fine with that. And again, so when the legislature does come back to deliberate on those 3 bills, then you basically take all 3 and make the necessary amendments to come out with one that basically has reached a compromise that everybody can live with. But the bottom line is that we're talking about a new tax, a 2% sales tax, and I think it would be irresponsible on our part to just pass that bill without knowing all the underlying nuances and details that attend to that. And I haven't seen the numbers yet, but supposedly this is what's going to raise, in excess of $60 million. $60 million is going to come from your pocket and mine.
Right. Well, as I mentioned earlier this morning when I was talking with Bobby Stringy, as I was talking with Jack just a few minutes ago, there are a number of small businesses here that take advantage of the Santos Act, which provides for tax exemptions on their receipts right up until they hit, what is it, a $50,000 threshold? In annual numbers, and if we eliminate that because we're changing the structure of our taxation from BPT or a GRT to a sales tax, that would eliminate that exemption for many of these small businesses, essentially eliminating the positive parts of the Santos Act, which I think is responsible for a number of people taking the risk and becoming entrepreneurs in this town.
That's right, and that's why this public hearing is very important, because as we know, when you fix something, it's going to affect something else, and something else is going to give, and we need to know what those are, because this sales tax that's being put in place is not going to sunset in 2 years. This is
forever.
This is a sales tax that we're going to have to live with and I guess tweak as we go down the road. But
well, the first part of the tweak is to do something. You can't just say that here's the sales tax and everybody in the private sector ought to be all gushy and excited about it because they've been asking for a sales tax forever. It is still a 2% or a 50% increase over the gross receipts taxes. So it would be in addition to our existing taxes. There's no tax break on this at all for the consumers, and has been pointed out. Maybe now, in the midst of this crisis, is not the time to be tinkering around with our taxes, our tax base, and the way we collect it.
And if we feel that we really need to take a good look at it and understand what it is that we are changing.
Well, I'm still against the idea almost completely out of pocket because we haven't really spent a lot of time talking about how much we're going to be able to save in the government of Guam. And what we can do by way of revenue enhancements. There were a bunch of ideas that came down as suggestions to the legislature, but I'm looking at that going, what do we do now? What do you want to do with those things? Thanks very much for the ideas, but anybody want to create some legislation? Is there anything that the legislature has to do? Is there anything that the governor's office has to do about these possible revenue enhancements?
In fact, Senator Espaldon did make an effort to introduce an amendment that really will memorialize all these, that we're going to increase taxes, but we're also going to decrease government expenditures. And from, the administration's own report, they were looking at possibly being able to reduce government expenditures by as much as $47 million. But nowhere are you going to find that in any of the bills that have been introduced that, we're going to increase this side of the equation and we're going to decrease the expenditure side.
Yeah, so as my dad says, if you didn't write it down, it didn't happen.
Or the other alternative is, it's one of those, trust me.
Trust but verify. Get it in writing. What are we talking about? I was a little bit disturbed, and I appreciate the thickness of your skin some days, Senator. Late last night, I guess somebody thought it would be a great idea to send out everybody's cell phone numbers to whatever it is, 1,001 WhatsApp groups out there, including your personal cell phone number. I thought that was borderline harassment. Are you going to swear out a complaint?
No, and I've been fortunate so far. I haven't been deluged by people, with telephone calls from people. I think the people out there see that move for what it is, and they're respecting it. I just hope that I don't get forced to have to go change my phone number, because I pay for my own phone, and I make that thing available so that my family can get a hold of me when they need to. But no, I've been spared the harassing calls and all that so far.
I'm glad to hear that, because we all have caller ID, and you can call them right back and say, and another thing. let me just do this with that. I wanted to talk about this story, just as I don't know. Maybe we do need to take a look at the way we have thought about things and done things in this town, and decisions that we have made, sometimes at the legislature and sometimes as a community. So while we are here in the midst of this crisis on Guam, if you open up page 9 of the Guam Daily Post, here is the story that you'll be greeted by, Senator. The House of Representatives on Tuesday passed measures that will increase the salaries of executive branch officials and reestablish a special annuity for the governor and lieutenant governor. The two bills now go to the Senate. They're rolling in dough, or seemingly rolling in dough, up in the CNMI, enough so that the House of Representatives there are looking around going, hey, our leadership's not making enough money. Let's give these guys a raise and throw in a special annuity for them as well. Don't you wish we had that? Don't you wish we could be fighting about that here today?
Well, I don't think we want to go there again.
Well, it's the whole gambling thing, but it wasn't my idea. It's the governor's idea. I'm going to leave it there. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to let you get some more rest. You guys are going back in pretty soon, right?
Yeah, I came into the office this morning at 7:30 after I dropped off the kids.
Gotcha. So 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock for session?
10 o'clock for session.
Okay, good. All right, I got another hour to kill before I start watching YouTube again. I'll see you pretty soon, Senator Tom Atta.
Adios.
It's 9 a.m. on KUSG Agana.
Another shakeup at the White House. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. One day after appearing before the House Intelligence Committee as they investigate Russian meddling in the election, where she told lawmakers her work occasionally requires her to, as she put it, tell white lies, Communications Director Hope Hicks steps down.
She has been one of the president's closest advisors. She's been with him for the past 3 years or so. I mean, to say that she almost operates as his right hand really is an understatement, I think. She worked with the Trump organization in the past. She was working with Ivanka, and then she took on what was an unbelievably intense job during the campaign, where she was, for a long, long time, literally an army of one doing communications for the Trump campaign before they scaled up and they brought a few more people on board. The president with laudatory words about her resignation from the White House.
Fox's John Roberts of the White House. In a statement, Hicks saying, in part, there are no words that to adequately express my gratitude to President Trump. And the president accusing some lawmakers of being afraid of the NRA as he holds a meeting this afternoon on toughening gun laws. Fox's Jared Halpern live on Capitol Hill.
After those sharp comments about the NRA from President Trump in a bipartisan White House meeting, Connecticut Democratic Senator Chris Murphy says the days of the NRA getting whatever it wants may be over.
I'm not sure if that was a reality TV show or whether that was an indication of what the White House is going to be pushing up here in Congress over the next few days.
And Pennsylvania Republican Senator Pat Toomey, who sponsored a measure expanding background checks to a larger group of gun sales, says the president's support could get that measure across the goal line. It did fall short of the votes needed to overcome a filibuster in 2013. Lisa.
Thanks, Jared. Wall Street at the close, the Dow lost 380, the Nasdaq dropped 57, the S&P fell 30. Fox News, fair and balanced.
This is the sound of a brand new outdoor grill being hurled off a 20-story building. Now a stylish glass coffee table. An electric guitar. These are the things you could enjoy, all cast into oblivion. Because when you throw away money on wasted electricity, you throw away everything you could have bought with it. Visit EnergySavers.gov and get tips on how to save energy and money. Then do things like switch to Energy Star light bulbs or Energy Star appliances, and you could save hundreds of dollars a year. So this doesn't happen to the recliner you've had your eye on, or this to the treadmill on your wish list, or this to the shiny new bike your kid's been asking for. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
An investigation underway in Dalton, Georgia, after a teacher barricaded himself in a classroom and fired a handgun to keep people out. Fox's Gernal Scott has more live.
Lisa, police don't know why teacher Jesse Randall Davidson fired the shot, but he's been charged now with aggravated assault, carrying a gun at school, reckless conduct, and other counts. Principal Steve Bartu says he called an officer, then tried to get in with a key.
He slammed the door before I could open it and said, "Don't come in here, I have a gun." And so at that point, I put our school into a threat lockdown.
Dalton Assistant Police Chief Cliff Kaysen said there could also be a mental screening.
The court may decide that they would order some type of evaluation to take place, but we're just in the very preliminary stages.
Only one student was hurt, but not by the shot, Lisa.
Thanks, Gernal. Controversy over the expansion plan for one of the country's busiest airports.
Fort Worth-based American Airlines claims that Chicago's recently announced $8.5 billion O'Hare expansion includes a secret provision to award more gates to Chicago-based United. Thus, American contends undermining United's competition, though United says the deal for 5 additional gates was done in 2016, calling American Airlines' claims disingenuous. The city says the plan ensures that every airline has a chance to grow. The O'Hare expansion aims for completion in 2026. In Chicago, Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
The top executive behind the Netflix remake Fuller House has been fired over charges about his behavior on the set. Warner Brothers Television says it will not renew Jeff Franklin's deal. Variety reports there were complaints about him being verbally abusive to staffers and making inappropriate comments to the show's writers. There have been no allegations of sexual misconduct. Franklin's attorney says neither he nor his client have been told about what was deemed offensive. Lisa Lacera, Fox News Radio.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
I'm supposed to tell you that portions of the program brought to you by my friends over at King's, and I will in just a second. I'd like to welcome to our growing list of advertisers the folks that always say yes. Done it for me for years. First Hawaiian Bank. Great to have you. And it all starts with yes. And it starts with yes. Let's go have breakfast over at King's, because they've been making breakfast for people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the last 40 years, serving up Guam favorites to families for all of that time, and want to do it for you today. So check them out at King's. Always open, always local.
The car of the year is here. The all-new 2018 Honda Accord, only at Triple J. Total redesign inside and out. It's no surprise that its car and driver's 10 best a record 32 times. With all new features like the Honda Sensing Standard, Bluetooth and reverse camera, an all-new touchscreen setup, and an all-new 1.5 and 2.0 turbo engines. Best in its class and equipped with Honda's first 10-speed transmission. You'll have to test drive for yourself or take a virtual 360-degree tour of the Accord online at triplejguam.com. Triple J, customers first.
I can't remember whether I was supposed to do a thing for Subway or security titles. Maybe I'll do both of them. Their security title, providing solutions for complex real estate transactions. This is what they do, guys. And then I can also probably tell you about Subway with all kinds of fresh choices for you, especially around Lent time. They've got the classic tuna that you can have and the regular old buns that they've got there, or try it on the flatbread, or better yet, try it in a salad. Great way to make your way through Lent. Mouth-watering greatness of the seafood sensation and the Vegemix, which is something new on the menu. Try it today at Subway.
When the power goes out on Guam, the little things can become surprisingly big. Small comforts are often the things we miss most during a power outage. That is why Kohler built the fastest responding generator sets in the industry. Whether you are at home or away, a residential Kohler generator will enable you and your family to live life without interruption. Kohler gas, LPG, and diesel power systems are available from Morico Equipment LLC on Epal Road. Call 649-1946. That's 649-1946.
News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out. The Ray Gibson Show.
6 after 9 in the morning. My name is Ray. This is the Ray Gibson Show. The radio station is The Point. 888-8255 is the telephone number. You can reach out in the emails and touch me there. RayGibsonShow@gmail.com. There is no the or the in front of it. Just RayGibsonShow@gmail.com. I cannot guarantee that I will read every single email on the air, but I guarantee that I will read them all. Your opinions are vital to me because it helps kind of craft the discussion that I'm going to have on the radio. I will speak to you and generate my opinions based on my own background and what I think. And sometimes it's Legion and Legend and tradition, and sometimes it's because it's something I saw on Netflix the other night. But, like I said, it's important that I get to hear from you on a variety of issues. And the issue at the loggerheads this morning, and my guess is that when the legislature gets together at 10, they'll do the same thing that they would have done last night. Okay, great. We got this other piece of legislation referred back to committee and get it scheduled for the public hearings because we're going to treat these just like any other bill. And somebody will say, but it's an emergency. This is an emergency. It's urgent. Oh, who's going to die? Like an earthquake, a typhoon emergency? Is that what we're talking about? Because
last night it was a gotta go back to bed emergency.
We couldn't read the tea leaves and the messages that have been coming out from the public auditor for the last gazillion years. We didn't pay any attention to that over all these years. So now it's an emergency. I don't know. I don't know. And if anybody's, well, because they're going to close the fire station. No, they're not going to close the fire station. Stop telling people they're going to close the fire station. It's not going to happen. It would never happen. I would call for people's impeachment if something like that were to happen. You don't screw with people's lives that way. 8 after 9. My buddy Jim's on the line. How you doing there?
Very good. Good morning, all.
It's good to hear from you. I've used your name. I hope you don't mind, but I've used you and the missus' names on the radio on more than one occasion. Sometimes we talk about the stick-to-itiveness that you've got to have to become successful in this game on Guam. And I think about the work that you guys started back in the 70s with East West Rental and the way that you have been able to grow that business into so many other ventures. And it all comes down to putting your money at risk and making it so that this is a great team for you and your family to have continued to do all these years. So I'm glad that you found me on the radio.
Well, I've been trying to find you for a while, and I've been off the island for a couple of weeks here and come back, and I know we still have the taxes thing going on.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, that didn't go away. Hey, say hi to my dad. He's listening.
Oh, hey. Hi, Bill. I hope you're doing well back in North Carolina. One of these days, maybe we'll be able to see you back here on Guam, or possibly I may even get back that way to see you there.
No, not until they start allowing people to smoke on the airplanes again. I think that's the only way you're going to get him back out here. So yeah, you're gone for a couple of weeks, and you come back, and we're still in crisis mode.
Well, that's kind of something that we see all the time. Every few years we run into the same thing. It's always the same problem, and but nobody wants to go in and correct it. And when we get a little bit of money, we like to spend too much of it and borrow as much as we can and hope we can pay it back some other time. But right now we're trying to get the one thing I'd like to see is the gross receipts tax, which probably wouldn't even call it a gross receipts tax. It would be just a regular a sales tax. It's what we need to do, something that we can make a sale and pay the taxes right then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the problems with the GRT is business people can go in and stay at the first part of the month, first week or so in the month, you're making sales, and you make sales for the whole month. And you don't have to go in and declare that money to the government and pay it until about the 20th of the following month, which is a long time. And who knows, maybe by the end of the following month, you don't have quite as much cash in your bank as what you'd like to, and some businesses can just declare what they owe to government a little bit less than what it should be. And those are many things that can happen all the time. And the government does very little checking on the gross receipts that's being paid anyway. But one thing I would like to see is to go in and put on a tax that belongs to the government the moment that you make the sale. And it could be called a sales tax or other things.
Mm-hmm.
But what you do, as soon as you go in and make a sale, that amount is shown on the cash register of how much the businessman gets for his product. And then it's also shown how much of that tax is for the government. And that immediately belongs to the government. When the government could say, okay, businessman, you go in and you deposit that money into the government of Guam Treasury, say every 2 weeks. Well, they could say every week, but I'd say every 2 weeks would be good. That way they get the money in much, much faster. It's much easier for the revenue and taxation, if they ever wanted to check, to go to a business and say, okay, let me see your sales receipts for your last few weeks here.
Yeah. Show me what when you z'd out the register. Tell me what it said, and this is how much we expect. Because at the bottom of the Z out, it will say what your total taxes, what your total sales tax was going to be, and there should be somewhere around here a receipt for a check in the same amount to the Treasurer of Guam.
Absolutely. Now, I don't know why the legislature, or the governor, or anyone would be complaining about that, because we should pay the tax that that belongs to the government.
Well, that's where we are today. Is now that the governor's original proposal to increase the GRT by another 50%. Now that has failed, that bill is deader than a doorknob, as they say. There are now 3 different pieces of legislation that have been introduced at the legislature dealing with sales taxes. Senator Estevez has got one that is more complete than the others, if you will. It talks about what the increase is, or what the sales tax is going to be on what products, and who is going to be exempted from those products, and what happens if you don't report on time, and if you fail in your advertising requirements, and all of that. So it's a little bit more complete than the others. But it is an additional tax. It is in addition. It does not change the GRT at all. It is an additional 2% or another 50% in just taxes in general. And my understanding is that's an issue that the chamber is going to have with it, because it is still, at the end of the day, a tax increase. Rose by any other name, right?
Right. But I do not see why they should have to make another tax. They can go in and you just take the regular tax. If you go in and put a sales tax instead of the gross receipts tax, you're going to be bringing in more money. You're going to be bringing, I think, quite a bit more money.
Well, the problem is, this is something that came up while you were gone, is they actually went back to GITA and said, can we just eliminate the gross receipts tax and replace it with a sales tax? And Jay Ross came back and said, no, we can't actually do that, because we owe millions and millions of dollars in taxes, in loans that use the business privilege tax, or the GRT, as the security. And so if we eliminate the GRT, that would eliminate the basis of the security, the securitization for those loans, and we could be in default.
Well, I looked at the loan that they had, and the document does not say anything about GRT. It says it is a Guam privilege tax. The wording GRT, gross receipts tax, is not in it. And it can be that Guam privilege tax can be used as a sales tax. It is not. There is nothing saying it's gross receipts tax.
Yeah, that might be me and you saying it, but the guys that are holding the bonds might have something else to say. Just because we're looking at it, just because we're having these whispers, their legal might look at it and disagree with you.
Yeah, they're not people that are holding the bonds and all. They're not really concerned about the wording. They're concerned that it's government of Guam that is the ones that are guaranteed the money.
Mm.
It's not gross receipts tax or anything else that by that name. You can change it and make it a sales tax right off.
We'll see. I mean, the only answer I can come up with is let's try it and find out. They'll either love it or they'll hate it, and if they'll hate it, we'll know pretty quick.
Oh, yeah.
That's generally the way it works with the lawyers. They'll jump right in. They won't wait at all.
That'll be good.
As you know.
Talking to you this morning, and I'm glad you're back on the radio.
But I didn't, Jim, I didn't even get to ask you about the other fun part of the Estevez legislation that was proposed, and that is the implementation of a 6% internet sales tax.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Wait, hold on. I got a special thing for those of you watching on a television. There's always something fun that we can throw up there when somebody says something like that. Jim says that's crazy. I personally think it's too high. It feels punitive on top of that. So that's where we got to go. I don't have a problem necessarily with the sales tax. I think it will be cumbersome for businesses to deal with both a gross receipts tax situation they've got to deal with and a sales tax that they've got to deal with. I think there's always going to be the questions from the customers that will walk in and say, wait a second, the net effect of all of this is the sales tax is only 2%, and I can see that, but somewhere along the line, the price for whatever good or services I was going to buy went up by 2%.
Well, the bond says it would be a 3% of the business privilege tax will be set aside for the payment of those bonds. It doesn't say anything about a gross receipts tax. It says a business privilege tax.
No, I hear you.
Business privilege tax could be a sales tax that is added on right whenever the product is sold.
Mm-hmm.
And you could call that could be called a business privilege tax also. It is not nowhere in the wording does it say a gross receipts tax. It says business privilege tax.
Well, we'll find out whose lawyer is bigger than whose other lawyer. If their lawyer is bigger than our lawyer, there could be a problem. Jim, I'll talk to you pretty soon.
Okay, very good.
Have a terrific day, and I'm glad that you found me as well. I'm delighted that I get to say that so often. I'm so glad that you found me. Yes, I am back on the radio, and I don't want to say ornery as ever. I don't know that I've got an ornery bone in my body. But I will tell you what I think and what annoys me. This in particular, on the internet sales tax, this makes me nuts. And notwithstanding any other provision of law, we love the use of the phrase notwithstanding any other provision of law. Tangible personal property otherwise taxable under this chapter, whereby the retail sale was transacted via the internet, and the use or consumption is not intended for use in business activities or otherwise exempt herein, are assessed a sales tax of 6% and are not subject to any other taxation provided for in Title 11 GCA, because it's already 6. That's why. Where's the other language that annoyed me? Because it just sounded like, I don't know. So I'm like, I'm fumbling here because the words that I want to use are words I cannot use on the air. Approval of voters not required in compliance with 48 U.S. Code 1423 Alpha, the Organic Act. The imposition of the taxation authorized by this act shall not be subject to the approval of or placed before the voters of Guam. Why not? Why don't we place it before the voters of Guam? What are you afraid of? You afraid they're going to say no? They already said no. There's plenty already that is saying no. 9:22 in the morning. Is there more? Is there more conversation on this? Hold a second. 888.
There's always more conversation.
8255. We'll return to this in a couple of minutes. I did want to give the opportunity, while we've got some time in between the heavy topics and the big phone calls, bring in a familiar voice to those of you that listen to the radio and those of you that like to run a race. It's one of my favorite races. It's the Rainbows for all children. Good morning, Marie Halloran.
Good morning, and thank you for accepting my invitation.
No, but glad to have you. Glad to have you on. As you might know, I'm sure you're paying attention. There is as much activity on what's happening with the government's fiscal crisis in social media as there are pictures of you with all of your sponsors donating their prizes for the big race.
Of course. Thank you. Yes. In fact, iConnect is going to do our banner, and they have always been very supportive of us.
Well, that's because you've got Renee, and you have Gigi, and you have Richard, and they've always been a part of it. But especially since everybody started running a few years ago, this looks like something we can be a part of.
Oh yeah, it's been 30 years, and we are so glad. I'm so happy that you returned my phone call.
Oh well, I'm glad to talk to you. So the in and outs. How do I sign up for the race? When is the race? And describe the course, if you don't mind.
Okay. You can sign up at Hornet and the two locations of Paradise Fitness Center.
Yeah.
And Mark's. It's pre-registration is $10, and on the day of the race is $15. I mean, and the course have changed a little bit because of construction.
It's now a 26-mile course, right? It's not a 5K anymore. It's a full marathon.
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm playing.
It's a 3.5. We're the only 3.5-mile walk for youth, and it starts at Micronesia Mall, and then going towards Payless and out, going towards McDonald's of Guam in the intersection, then turn left to Harmon Loop, and then up to Charon Kaiser.
Okay.
And then you turn around back to the same route as you went.
Oh, so it's an out and back as opposed to looping. And looping is difficult now, as you point out, because there is all that construction at Route 3 and Route 1, and that's dangerous for people to have to try to sort out. So I think that's and an out and back is good.
Tavares said that it's best this way, we did it. We rerouted it.
But an out and back is good so that you can see who's behind you, how many people you're beating.
Yes, we're actually very, very excited and in jubilation because is it okay to say the grand prizes?
I was going to ask that's next. So what are we playing for in this race?
Okay. Philippine Airlines has been very, very supportive and generous. They're giving away 3 round-trip tickets. Okay, the first one is a round-trip ticket from Guam to Southeast Asia, meaning you can go to Bangkok, Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, Saigon, Bali, and Jakarta with a stopover in the Philippines.
Nice.
And then the next one is a round-trip ticket from Guam to Australia or New Zealand. You choose which one you want with a stopover again, the Philippines. And the first one is a round-trip ticket from Guam to London.
Oh, I've had the occasion to fly Philippine Airlines in the past, and I always thought that was one of the more interesting routes. So Guam to Manila, you hang out at Ninoy for a little bit, and then they put you on a plane that will take you to London.
Yes, I want want that, but I can't win it.
Yeah. So if you want to win, then you need to be at the actual race. So what time are we showing up this weekend? What time?
Yeah, showtime for those that have not registered. You can register that day, like 5:15.
Mm-hmm.
And then a warm up would be 5:45. We do a little Zumba, but not more than 5 minutes. And then we do the national anthem and invocation. And then John would, tell the runners what's the route and all this stuff.
You're gonna make John do that?
Huh?
You're making your husband do that?
Yes, because he's the race director. He's the one waking up at 4 in the morning and rerouting. He and Gaynell Marsh is going to do that stuff. So
the family that plays together stays together. So and it's going to be at the Micronesia Mall, and it's Saturday, right?
Yes, this Saturday. So please come. May I do the sponsors? Is that okay with you?
Okay with me.
Yeah, okay. Let's start from the bottom. Select Care, Addis Mortuary, First Hawaiian Bank, Docomo Pacific, ANZ, National Office Supply, Ernst Young, K76, Moylan FirstNet, EMI, Coast 360, Nissan, Santa Barbara Catholic School, Payless, PFC, Personal Finance, Deloitte, Duty Free, and then Pacific Islands Club, PDN, Triple J, International Distributors, Inc., Reliable Builders, Tony Roma, Capricciosa, Calvo, Fisher, and Jacob, Community First, Family Finance, Guam Financial. Now, the major sponsors are Philippine Airlines, J&G, Johnson Guerrero, Lohas Chiropractic, Bank of Guam, Micronesia Mall, KUAM Care Force, McDonald's of Guam, Father Dueñas Memorial School, ASC, the Guam Daily Post, and LifeWorks Guam. And, of course, kudos to Renee. He's doing our banner. They have been very, very good to us.
Well, and I'm sure we'll continue to be as well. 9:28, Maria, I'll let you go, and good luck and good success on the run. 3.5 miles. It is a very unique distance. And for those of you that are regular 5K guys, word of advice, leave some in the tank. Leave some in the tank because you're going uphill towards the Micronesia Mall at the end. Once you made that turnaround, you're going to be going uphill a little bit, and the extra, I don't know, 2/3 of a mile or something like that will get your attention.
Is it uphill both ways, like our grandfathers would have run?
And there's going to be wind on it as well. Marie, I'll talk to you pretty soon. I appreciate the telephone call. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about this great race that's ahead of us. 9:29, and normally, if any other hour of the program, we'd break away. I'm sorry, I'm making a face here because I'm taking my shoes off. I just get that feeling like I want to take my shoes off. Yeah,
well, you got to put them in that carpet. We need some shag carpet in there, man. Then you go shoeless all the time. So
she mentioned iConnect in here, and iConnect is added to the list of sponsors on the program. And we do a thing in the business, we call it a time check. On the air, the net effect is I get to tell you what time it is. But because it's iConnect, and because they have a peculiar line of phones. Take smartphones, yeah, to be sure. But the bread and butter here is for your business so that you can maintain instantaneous contact with your employees. We've always recommended PTT. That's short for push to talk. Just like a regular old radio, just a simplex communication. Hey, where are you? The customer is waiting for the delivery. What time are you coming back to the shop? Great things to have. And the fun thing about push to talk is there's a noise. Everybody knows the noise. That's the noise, ladies and gentlemen. A little hot in the ear. Maybe back off a little bit on the volume. iConnect time is 9:30. Connect longer for less with iConnect's push-to-talk mobile and internet plans.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking built by highly skilled local technicians emissions, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Chili's has the seafood you crave, the flavors you love, at a great price with our 3 for Me Lent menu. For just $15, you can get a beverage, fresh salad, and a Lent-friendly entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a fresh house salad right before you indulge in your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our spicy shrimp tacos, savory Cajun pasta with shrimp, or our flavorful grilled ancho salmon. Chili's 3 for Me Lent menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
This is the Ray Gibson Show on DuPont Radio Station, and the emails are coming in. Those against any tax increases, please help. There's still $100 million that needs to be cut from the general fund budget. Can you guys, Bobby Stringy, Ray Gibson, Jack, Kenley and Guerrero, Darrell, etc., take the GovGuam budget and PL 34-42 and make a list of those things that could be cut. When you get to $100 million, give it to the legislature and then let them have hearings. The legislature is out of ideas. The sales tax seems to be DOA today. No cuts plus no taxes equals bankruptcy. Okay. You want to talk about cuts? I can give you one. A commission on decolonization as an example. It ain't $100 million. I don't even think it's $500,000 in there. But it would be a place to start. I'm not picking on the decolonization. It's first thing in my head. So how long have we had the Commission on Decolonization? Are we any closer today than we were when they first put it together to eking out some kind of different relationship with the federal government of the United States of America? No? Why do we keep paying for it then?
Yeah. Last I checked, I still did not really need a passport to get here.
And now you don't even need to be on a list to vote in whatever referendum we're going to have one of these days. Here's another unpopular one. I live in a neighborhood. I live in a village that has a vice mayor. There's 160,000 people on Guam. I don't know how many people live in my municipality, but is there so much going on in there that I need two of them? And I love them both. I want you to know this. I love them both. If I can't get a hold of one, I'll go find the other. But honestly, do we really need to have and pay $68,000 a year for a vice mayor? There's a couple of places to look. I'll give you. There's another bunch of examples that we can play around with, and I'm not going to be the chapter and verse expert on all of these things. You're asking for some ideas on cuts, and we'll make a couple of them. How about this? Let's just go into zero overtime. Let's do a zero overtime thing. The idea that we have spent more money on protection, off-island protection, and what was it? The overtime for the personal security for first family, etc. I'm not saying they shouldn't have it. So please don't misinterpret that. The question is, why do we have to do it so that there is overtime here? What's the most expensive? It's like going to the emergency room for a sore throat. I've done it. Cost me a fortune. And they said, you just next time you're a take care guy. Go to the urgent care. Akimoto's place is open. Go see them. Because it's pricey. And so the question is, how do we manage better? I'll give you a couple other examples while I'm thinking about it. Every once in a while, you will see on the weekends, on public property, you'll see somebody doing, what's the word I'm looking for? You will see guys on public property doing yard clearing and zabao work, bush cutting. and cleaning up. Government employees. And I look at that work being done and I go, why are they working on Saturday? What did they do all week that prevented them from coming out and getting this done during regular working hours? You work on Saturday. Is there extra money? Huh? Is that it? Is it 88 because we're working on Saturday? We have to do this job on the weekend? So it's not one thing. It's not the $100 million bullet that's out there. It's there's a whole bunch of other places. And if you're thinking that the legislature is off the hook on this one, all right, fine. I'll see if there's something at the legislature that I look at and go, really? They need a guy that does that? There's a fellow I was watching in the legislature the other day, and I'm sure he does a good job in addition to this, but it seems like his whole job is to be a waiter at the legislature and make sure that the water glass in front of the senators never, ever, ever goes below 50%. How much is that costing me as a taxpayer? Well, the senator doesn't have a member of the staff can go back and grab a bottle of Foremost water from somewhere. So I'm just saying there are examples of this, and just because the guy doesn't have a 4-hour radio show to expound on these things all day doesn't mean that those ideas aren't out there. That's just me. 9:37. My pal Carlo Branch joins me. Good morning, Carlo.
Good morning, sir. How you doing?
I don't know. I'm cranky because I should have been awake past midnight last night. I wasn't. I was in bed at 9. But I knew that there was mischief. I knew that there was mischief taking place out there somewhere.
Well, you know, politics in a gubernatorial year, I suppose.
Oh my God, is that what it is? Tell me it's not just that. That would be just stupid for the island to have to go through this nonsense just because we're trying to figure out who's going to pin the other one on a trip to Adelup. Do me a favor, if you can, go someplace where it's not so windy.
Well, you know, I think it's entirely, you have to ask yourself, why are we rushing the way that we are rushing? And the governor has very publicly said, well, we're rushing to avert a furlough. Well, less than a month and a half ago, his DOA director said the process of legally furloughing a classified employee is so cumbersome that even if we began it now, we could never, ever avoid a furlough. Now, all of a sudden, we can do it with an executive order, and it only takes 1 week. So I call a little bit of BS on that one. I think what we do know as a matter of truth is that no one wants to raise taxes, no matter what the tax is, close to either a primary or a general election. Mm-hmm. And, you know, if you are the lieutenant governor who is running for election as the governor, I don't think you want to be talking about the fact that you increase taxes, in June, July, or August. I think what you are trying to do is trying to make sure that this all gets done, trying to make sure that tax refunds are paid before you end up in contempt of court on October 16th, and then walk into the general election with as much cash flow as possible. Because the executive branch put to bed weeks ago the fact that you could not legally do a furlough in time to avert furloughs. And now all of a sudden we can do it. So either they were fibbing then, or they're fibbing now, or this is about a deadline that has nothing to do with next week and everything to do with doing it before November gets a little too close for country.
Okay, well, there's a couple of other things that I've seen. I guess there's a strong desire to get the last of the tax refund payments out.
We all have that desire.
not just the governor's office, huh?
But, if we have to lay off or furlough 20% of the people at DRT, I doubt that anybody's going to be able to process tax refunds in a timely manner.
Very interesting point that you bring up there, sir. Anyway. So among the reasons why I like to get you on the line is because you're among my favorite policy wonks over at the legislature, and the question is, what happens next? I've got 1, 2, 3, count them, sales tax bills. One of them is a duplicate of the other with the addition of the amendments that were already engrossed, and I don't see anything major controversial in those. Some would bristle at the idea that BJ is removing the language of the law law that nobody follows and the Attorney General won't enforce. So why bother with the voter approval being necessary for new taxes and new loans? So he's just taking that out. The creation of the so-called lockbox account for Guam Memorial Hospital. If those funds come in, they would be diverted into a lockbox. And what was the third one?
The third one was there was an alleged typo that did not assert the governor's increase on GRT to insurance premiums. That alleged typo was caught and rectified.
I remember that they'd asked Les and the fiscal team about that, and it seems to me that his response was, yeah, that was probably an oversight because that was the intention of it, was to increase the taxes on the insurance.
But I know Les. If Les says it was the case, then that was the case.
Gotcha. So we've got all three of these now. They are going to be treated like regular bills that go through the legislature one way or the other, right? So committee reports, public hearings.
No one, including members, can guarantee what goes on the floor. So I'll leave it to members to determine, what goes on tomorrow or the day after. But I can tell you that the majority sentiment, as was expressed last night by the Speaker and then again this morning on your show with Senator Tom Atta, who's the majority leader, is we understand that there is a sense of urgency, and we are moving urgently in compliance with the law, because nobody needs a reminder of what happens when the legislature gets called into special session by a governor or an acting governor to pass legislation that the governor says is urgent when nobody is paying attention. The last time that happened, 7 people who I respected greatly got bounced out of office because people rightfully argued that we should not pass legislation critical to the public interest without a public hearing in violation of the open government law. That lesson was taught to politicians and those people that work for them very handedly by the electorate, so it is ignorant of us to ignore it. And the Speaker said on the day he was inaugurated that he would do everything within his power to make sure that we change the way we did business in the legislature. Now, it does not mean that we are perfect. It does not mean that we don't have areas where we can seriously improve, and it doesn't mean that we are undeserving of some contempt and self-reflection about certain things. But at its most basic level, I think every member is generally acknowledging that when public policy is going to affect people this way, this broadly, it must have a public hearing. We're not talking about raising a tax that has been on the books for 40 years. We're talking about creating an entirely new tax and potentially, as you have noted ably this morning, pushing certain people out of the ability to conduct business in even a small way. So there are impacts, which, I completely understand the governor needs to move urgently. Everybody understands that. But crisis is usually the scapegoat for us screwing up when it comes to public policy.
No, and especially changing the way we do taxes here on Guam. It's a meaty enough conversation all by itself, and I suspect that now is a lousy time, under duress, under stress, to make that kind of a sea change in the way we conduct business on Guam. And then there's the other point: is it's still a tax increase. If you look at it, it's just adding this number to the number that's already there. It's still a tax increase. Nothing has changed. There's still no language in any of the measures that talks at all about revenue enhancement. There's nothing in there that talks at all about cost containment and cost cutting.
Right. And, I want to open up another line to the conversation that I don't think people understand clearly, which is what we are dealing with is a two-pronged problem. The first is cash flow, and the second one is budgetary. But the more immediate problem, the problem that the governor alleges he has, is that our cash flow situation does not allow him to do things like make payroll. And the challenge that I think members of the public are having, the challenge that I'm having, the challenge that members are having is nobody has an accurate understanding of what exactly the cash flow position of the government is, inflows and outflows. When the DOA director went through a list of special fund balances yesterday, he didn't quote real-time bank balances, which is weird. He quoted the account report that is submitted to the legislature as of the last day in January. But I think what needs to be understood by everyone is how much money do we have in the general fund? What does our cash flow model say is coming in, and what does it say is coming out? And not on the basis of a report that's stale dated 60 days. We need to see it in real time. We need to know how short on payroll we actually are and how much cash we need, and whether or not any of these solutions will actually get that cash there in time. I believe all three of the bills, and I can stand corrected, allow for an implementation date of up to 30 days. Well, if DRT moves with all expeditious haste, as it is so known to do in the past, and it nails this deadline in 30 days, there's still a furlough if ADLEAP is telling the truth and furloughs begin on Tuesday. So how is this a solution for the immediate crisis?
Right.
If you give administrative agencies 30 days to implement a brand new tax, which we've been talking about for 40 years, which they'd have to be Superman to get done. If they do that, and I know they're capable of it, then they have up to 30 days. If they take that time, that just does not create cash flow for the purposes of dealing with your situation. And the second issue is, yes, I agree with Bobby that I think a sales tax probably increases collections, but nobody knows yet what the total collections are going to be because, number one, we don't have history on it, and number two, I think one of the bills proposes a certain number of offsets. So even if you can do a back-of-the-napkin estimate on what we sell and then take a percentage off the top, you have no idea how to segregate all of the corresponding offsets that people are going to propose. And if that happens, how do you know that you filled the alleged the 67 million?
If in fact that was going to be the goal. So this, as I said, and I think is a point that I hope people take away, is it's an interesting idea, and I am all for going for it and getting all of the experts in the room, all of the fiscal guys, the brainiacs that work in the government, the brainiacs that work in the private sector, and folks in the community to say this is how we think this is going to affect us, and see if it achieves the goal that we're trying to do. I mean, if the goal is just to put a 2%, a 50% increase in taxes under the guise of a sales tax, well, we've got the legislation that does it. But what's the impact going to be? And what is the impact going to be on the government of Guam? All of a sudden, is it as simple as we've just got a new set of numbers that are coming into the Department of Revenue and Taxation? How are they going to be able to engross those numbers to be able to calculate whether or not there is an increase, there is not an increase, it's the increase we thought it was going to be? How many additional people are going to be required to handle compliance to make sure that those new taxes are being paid?
Here's another thing. Ray, we've had a Division of Business Privilege Tax, or GRT, depending on which year it was, longer than I have been alive. Are we going to need to stand up a new division for the sales tax? And I agree with you that we should probably transition to it. The point that I'm trying to make is we have been having this discussion, for 40 years. I don't see how we do it right in 2 weeks. So I don't know who is fond of saying it on your show, but I think somebody says, move deliberately but in a hurry, right? And that's what I think we all understand we need to do. But I think the governor, not the governor, I think the people that work for the governor need to understand basic civics. The executive branch is built to move quickly. The legislative branch is built to create consensus and allow for cooperation. And that means deliberation. And that is hard. It's painful. And sometimes it annoys the living freak out of me. But this is how democracy works. Democracies are built to be inefficient. Dictatorships are built to be efficient. Which one do you want to live in?
Amen to that. Amen to that. Hey, listen, one quick question. As I understand it, your boss, Speaker Cruz, is going to be away from the nest for a little bit. Is that? I understand that he's put in the paperwork for leave.
Yes, it was pre-scheduled, and he's away on a personal matter.
Who's running the store today then? Who's going to gavel everybody in at 10 o'clock?
It'll be the acting speaker and then the vice chairman on appropriations, all tools of the office and the committee staff, as well as the Office of Finance and Budget. We're all available to everybody who needs.
Okay, understood. And the question is there a possibility that with the speaker away, that there is room for shenanigans and mischief and manipulation?
I have a great deal of faith in the people on the floor.
I'll leave it there.
All right.
I'll talk to you pretty soon. I'll be watching you on TV.
Good day, sir.
See you, bud. Carlo Branch. It works. Policy wonk works for BJ, and I'm never ever going to pretend to understand everything there is to understand. You know, anything I know I've learned from observation, just picking nonsense up when I'm watching the show over there. But to really, really get into the sausage making, they call it, sometimes you need to bring in an expert, and he's usually the guy I talk to about some of those matters. Speaking of experts, my expert producer, Mike, says now would be a good time to take the last break of the program. All right, fine, I'll do this, and then I'll wrap up the show.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
We did it again. We did it again. I managed to kill 4 hours of airtime. Well, almost 4 hours. We'll be in, 6 minutes or something like that. This is the Ray Gibson Show on the point, 888-8255. When you hear something on the air and you just got to get in. If you think maybe you're just too important to hang out on the phone, but absolutely need me to understand something that's that you're thinking about, use the email, raygibsonshow@gmail.com. Some of you might remember some of my old email addresses, and almost all of them work. The only one that doesn't work is raygibson@k57.com. They killed that one when I walked out the door.
Yeah, mine got axed fairly quickly as well.
And stay out.
Yeah.
But everything else works. Breakfast Show, K57@gmail.com.
But, they still let me come
well.
over and visit. They even let me into the producer's studio when I went over there last time.
From the email. I was talking about working on Saturday and attributed it to guys that are trying to pull down 88 pay or something like that. Emailer says, well, I've actually got some knowledge on this. Nearly 100% of those Saturday workers are court-ordered community service workers. They are inmates, so they do not required to wear special uniforms. They aren't inmates, and so they're not required to wear special uniforms, noting their status. Also, a lot of them are happy labor, IBTF, and volunteers. Usually, you get the IBTF guys. There's a press release that comes out after that, right? Well, I'm glad to hear. I'm happy to be wrong on that one. On the nearly 100% of them are court-ordered community service workers. Oh.
So here's what I don't get. If the court can order them to do community service and do that, why can't they make the inmates work as well?
There are prison industry guys that are out there, low-level guys that are at the big house for whatever reason, and folks that are determined not to be a flight risk or hassle to anybody else. The thing is, unless there has been a change, and I have to talk to Katie or Tony Lamarena about it, there's only like one group.
Right.
And you might only see them once a year when they're working in your area.
I see. Okay.
But there's a whole lot of other places, roadways, things like that, where they might otherwise be dispatched. So they're out there. This was the answer 2 years ago when I asked the question. They're out there. They're working. You just might not see them all the time.
Oh, okay.
So there is that. We do have those guys out there. Maybe there more needs to be done about finding places where there is a critical need all the time to have them. GTA went out to Tengisan the other day and had to clean that place up. Well, I guarantee in another couple of weeks it will become Pampers again, like it was before, and there'll be junk cars and old tires and Pampers and bottles of beer and things like that all over the place again, up and down. As an example, And we've got the 2 corridors that will take you to Two Lovers Point. And the problem with that area is there is no adult supervision at any given time. So people can drive in and they'll go in with a pickup truck full of trash.
Right.
And unfortunately, we'll find someplace convenient in the boonies to empty their load and then come back out and not think twice about it.
I mean, it's
so there's a lot of places back there, and it might be that this is a good place to take some of the community workers and the inmates and put them out there.
It just seems to me if they could drive over by Two Lovers Point, they could just drive it to the dump, for crying out loud.
There's a charge.
It's just me.
I get it. They'll charge you though for it in some cases. I don't know.
Yeah, and again, it's just the way things are done differently here.
So what we haven't gotten to today on the program, and there is some conversation of it. I'll tell you right now, there is some conversation that is floating around in some places about what the heck is going to happen to the Guahan Academy Charter School. There are 2 pieces of information that are interesting to me. One of them, they've taken out an ad with an invitation for bid for 15,000 square feet someplace, which is arguably going to be their new campus. Because I don't think they're going to be able to stay on the old campus. You'll remember a couple of weeks ago, there was the threat of eviction. Looks like the threat of eviction has passed now, but it doesn't sound like they're going to be able to stay on that campus for the foreseeable future after this school year. So they're looking for someplace new. But the other thing that is interesting to me is they're also lawyering up. There is a request for proposal for legal services at Guahan Academy Charter Schools. Lawyering up. Wonder what that's all about. and the thing is, who's going to pay for this? It ain't going to be the students at Guahan Academy Charter School. Remember the way it works. All of this stuff got to go get blessed by the guys at GDOE. We spent a little bit of time talking about that. 9:57, and in the Your Money section of today's paper, you will see a note: free workshops examine business rules and wages, PTAC. And didn't have time to talk to him today, but I hope to get some time tomorrow to get these on. Today, teaming and JVs, what are they and what's right for you? On the 15th, FAR clauses explain federal acquisition regulations. March 22nd, pricing matters, pricing your product or service correctly. And the 29th, wages. Which wage do you pay your employees on government contracts? These are questions that you need to start asking yourself if you are going to be doing any kind of business in the future with anybody that has got to do with some of the big federal spend and the contracting that's going to be taking place here as we start talking about the buildup. Plans being made right now underway for the live broadcast of this morning's show to originate from the industry forum that's going to be taking place on March 7th, 8th, and 9th. I know that seats are running out real fast. I mean, they put it in the biggest room they could find over at the Doucet, but they're still going to run short of seats. So make sure that you sign up as quick as you can. It's Guam Industry Forum 2018.com on the World Wide Web. So make sure that you put your dough in. It'll cost you a couple of dollars, but I think it will be completely worth it just for the access. Hey, look, we're KUSG Hagutnya. CBS News is coming up next. What's today, Thursday? Hey, this is Brian Kilmeade, and Rush Limbaugh is going to make the liberals crazy this afternoon, and Sean Hannity and more. That's all ahead right here.
Close ally of President Trump steps down. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. White House Communications Director Hope Hicks resigns just one day after appearing before the House Intelligence Committee as they continue their investigation into Russian meddling in the election.
She still continues to work here. This is not kind of like a you're out the door sort of thing. It was her choice. She wants to go.